Peace, family. Peace, y'all. Peace, love, and light. Peace, love, and light. Welcome back to another episode. This is your brother Blue Pill Report live and direct. Know the Ledge TV. Peace, love, and light. Welcome back to another episode. This is your brother Blue Pill Report live and direct. Know the Ledge TV. Hold on, give me 1 second, y'all. All right, let me get that fixed. All right, shout out to the chat. Y'all gotta let me know what's going on. Make sure that this audio is okay. A-okay. Give me a thumbs up. All right. Give me a thumbs up and let me know if everything is coming through. All right. We good money. We in the building. Let me go and open up the line for my guest, my co-host. Peace. Hello. All right. Let me see what's going on. Something ain't right. Yo.
Peace and family.
All right. There we go. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Love and light. Welcome to another episode of Know the Ledge TV. This is your host, Brother Blue Pill. I'm joined by my co-host, Brother Red, and you are now officially rocking with the best. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to another episode. This is a special broadcast, and we felt that it was very necessary, to dialogue in this very auspicious day. You dig what I'm saying? This day has a lot of significance, not only to the world story, of what this day has gone down in infamy as, but even as it pertains to me and this brother, in our developmental arc, what I'm saying? Even within our names, the twin pillars, we can't ignore the fact that that's very much tied into the theme surrounding this day.
Facts. Give me 1 minute, Blue. Let me tap right back in. I gotta change something.
All right. Let me refresh this page over here, make sure everything is cool. All right, we good. Yeah, shout out to the chat. All right, peace to y'all. Thank you for joining us on another episode. I know this kind of catching people off guard. They like, I think this is back to back. Yeah, we did a special broadcast last night, and we right back at you today. You feel me? So, we ain't gonna keep you long. We're gonna cook and then get up out of here. All right. Yeah, hello? Yeah, unmute yourself.
Yeah, we good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. I can't see your screen. Is that on purpose?
You can't see my screen?
It's black.
I don't know why. I can see it in the back office, and I'm looking at YouTube, and it's visible on YouTube.
Okay. All right. Indeed. So what's good though?
Yeah. It's been a very long, reflective day.
It has.
I was reminded of a lot of things, just by bearing witness to other people's testimonials and, I always say it. Thank God for Facebook. Facebook reminder. Let me be clear. Because the FB reminder, they go back into the archives. I've been on FB since '07. So,
Facts.
you know, Facebook has a tendency of just reminding me what my headspace was, and you know, things that I had decoded. The shit that I forgot is deeper than some of the deepest shit that these niggas is out here doing. So, just catching up to my old self, like, god damn. Okay,
Yo, Facebook will remind you that you've been
boy
devolving.
was on it. Yeah, you like boy was on it.
Like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, you like what happened? Like boy from 7 years ago,
Facebook will,
popping boy now. Like I gotta stop drinking the tap water and shit. Fluoride.
Facebook will remind niggas, nigga, you was in the ninth inning with the clutch play with the Ewan, you know what I mean? You was in the finals, motherfucking game 6. And you be like,
Facts.
what, am I in a shallow grave now?
Yeah, you like am I? Yeah, Facebook order they might as well be like inbox you like nigga, you ain't doing it. Remember how you get the shit from MySpace and like Tom says,
Yeah, Tom says,
Mark says, get on your bike, nigga.
Nigga, get your
Dude,
life.
we got your life analytics up.
Facebook out here life hacking niggas. Like,
We got
you
your
was
life
snatching
analytics.
wigs
So
8
your
years
20
ago, nigga. What
9/11
happened?
from 9 years ago was fuego. Like what happened? Damn, homie. You get a voice memo from FB like, damn, homie.
Yeah, shit definitely has gone backwards. I don't care what nobody says. This is the devolution will be digitized. Like, niggas are officially dumbed down. Like, for real, bro. And you can lie to yourself, but Mark Zuckerberg is here to remind you niggas, like, nigga, you was sharper than this. You know?
Yeah. Zuckerberg, Facebook reminders definitely comes through in the clutch and just gives me a different perspective, and a different appreciation and a realization of time, what time entails, how time feels, because it's a feeling you like, damn, that was 5 years. I remember that.
Or,
That was 5 years ago. Oftentimes the only thing that you have to remind you is the youngins, the babies, how they grow up. Like, damn, what happened to them?
or
I ain't seen him in 3 years in bamboo shoot. Like,
niggas that man child.
yeah, they're man child now. So,
Yo, when I seen King Na, bro, at the We Buy Black convention, and King Na was up to my shoulders, big.
yeah, that did it.
I had a moment, bro. I had a moment. I had to really check I went to the bathroom and looked at myself in the mirror like, son, get your life together. Last time I seen King Na,
Nah, he was a baby.
he was a handheld. You know what I'm talking about? He was mad little. I'm like, bro, time is going so fast. Like, what's happening? It's just, it's an eye opener.
Yeah, shout out to Empress B444. She's been having difficulty getting in the chats. She said YouTube has been blocking her for whatever reason.
We gotta put that out there. That over the past 2 weeks, I think, they banned her from YouTube. And even when she attempted to log on another account, she's been getting blocked. So for some reason, YouTube has deemed it, they've deemed it, they've been banning our moderator. Like, I'm trying to understand, and they were saying something about inappropriateness. And we all know Empress B444 is not inappropriate whatsoever. She holds it down. She's one of the most consistent and
great shooters. She don't veer to the right or the left. She's
irreplaceable.
And she's irreplaceable. So let's send that sister our blessings, our that good energy or what have you. Make sure that she's in a good space. You know, because I know that she loves participating and we love her participation.
That's a
So
factory.
very peaceful. She brings a whole nother energy, you know. Like I'm good just knowing that she's in the chat. I just don't even watch the chat. I focus on what it is that we have to do. So I got to multitask. I got one eye on the chat. You know what I'm saying?
That's
But yeah, like this is the 18th year anniversary. Um, you know, I spoke on some of this yesterday, and I definitely spoke on some of it today on my live. But you know, they it 9/11 was really the impetus. It was really the catalyst for my awakening, for my awakening with all three eyes. You know, opening my eyes fully. I had already made my decision. Um, in September of 2001. It was early September 2001, right after we had lost Aaliyah, right? I had went to the Parkway, same Parkway we was talking about on yesterday's program where these niggas be jumping up, acting the fucking fool, waving flags for their country for independence when I can't even get a fucking a loaf sandwich from any of their Caribbean ministries. They like, oh, you know, Britain got to sign off on that first. I'm like, what y'all niggas be celebrating then? Like, what are y'all niggas
what
free?
what
Like,
independence from
yeah,
China?
can we get some dual citizenship over there then? Like, wow, y'all niggas is over here then. I'm
Niggas got
not, you know, I
independence.
ain't on my Tyreek. I'm not beating my chest on some Ado shit. I'm just saying, like, as hard as these niggas party and celebrate their independence, first you swear that they spilled some blood to get it. Second, you would swear that these niggas is free, like the banks is open. And I'm like, how is not even a factor in no level of economics? You were a backyard playground for Epstein and China,
Weinstein,
Einstein and Russia,
Bill
and get
Gates.
y'all niggas ass up out of here with all that. And then they started partying the day after Labor Day to get ready for next Labor Day,
That's a fact.
right?
There's always a fucking party.
And it's a carnival in every fucking country every month, and then they all culminate in September, and they did that shit for the second year in a row, or the second incident in a row, while one of them countries was underwater. They was on a parkway waving flags, and this year they was doing the shit in the rain with nature reminding these dumb motherfuckers that your ass need to be out here collecting cans, you know, and not making the fucking nutcracker dealer filthy rich for a week.
And not winding up on the police, on a pitly,
Yeah, and you whining, you
winding on the
twerking
pit,
on a fucking pit, on a pit.
on a pit.
Stupid shit. So, um, I had I had ran into a business partner of mine. And I remember in 2001, Labor Day was September 3rd, right? On or about that day, as I remember it. And I ran into JP, and the brother JP was a publisher of a newspaper called Four Corners. And we hosted him a few months earlier when we were working with Mike Tyson at Iron Mike Management. We let them have a staff meeting, and they was talking about this actual newspaper in the planning phases. And I had promised him, I was like, yo, when you get that shit off the floor, my nigga, I'm gonna write for you. So I see him on the Parkway. They got the first episode with Aaliyah on the cover, and they handing out the newspaper. And he was like, "Yo, you ready to write?" And I had to be a man of my word, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And then I got this nigga a job because he had just came home. He had just came home from
Can I
shock.
tell my story?
Yeah,
Come
from
on.
shock treatment. Right. I'm gonna let you get your shit off. All right. I started this live so you could talk. Give me a second. So I get this nigga illustrator job, right, to draw the comics because he couldn't write because nobody, you know, he's not a reporter, and this shit was before Twitter. Niggas did not think that they was micro reporters. That's the last thing that a nigga wanted to do. A nigga wouldn't even know how to go about being a reporter. So,
Yo, Daryl Moody.
Yo, Dwayne Moody, let me tell you, tweak it. Let me tell my story. I'll let you get in. So, so son is nice with the pencil and shit. So I got him a job as an illustrator, to draw the comic strip in the newspaper while I handled the editorial. I'm saying, am I lying?
I'm saying you try to wash me, but go ahead, man. Do your
Nah,
thing.
all right. Nah, I ain't trying to chef you.
Do your thing, Moody.
So boom. I I told JP, the publisher, shout out to JP, that I would get on staff and start writing and what have you. So this was like September 3rd, on or around that time. And the towers came down. You feel me? The towers came down on the 11th, and that was our first assignment. Putting together that particular issue for that month. But prior to that, let me backtrack. The day before that, I had went to court in New Jersey. I had a case. I had two cases at that time, back to back in two different counties in New Jersey, and they wanted to give me 15 years at each case. It was dealing with grand larceny and shit like that, and I was hit because I didn't have, I hit a brick wall. You know what I'm saying? Normally, everybody know me. I was hustlenomics. I always had long bread stashed and enough for the lawyers, but I had to make bail, and then I got hit with the next case, and I wasn't. I had 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I just had started a new relationship. I didn't want to hustle no more. I was working with Iron Mike. I was just half stepping, you know what I'm saying? And I put myself in a precarious situation because now I was cased up. So I runs into my man Rikers. Rikers is like, yo, you gotta come to this class, right? He's like, yo, these dudes is teaching you how to defend yourself in court. I was like, nigga, what? Like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to get me a lawyer and beat this charge or plead out. He's like, nah, come to class, and these dudes gonna show you how to handle your court case. So I start going to class with him up in Harlem, and this ends up being the Moorish science class. So now I'm introduced to a whole new world. Like they telling me shit that's so far fetched. I could not wrap my mind around none of that shit that they was talking about. But because me and this man had a very weird litany of experiences in courtrooms with high degree Mason judges, right? Who would see our name, and we would be like on a 10-person indictment. You feel me? Like, they hauled the whole gang in, and these niggas would be there and open up their files and look at our names and be like, yo, let them go.
Wow.
Our codees was like looking at us. I mean, we all together, so they know the niggas ain't telling or nothing, but they always to be like, yo, y'all niggas got rabbit feet in your back pocket. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why y'all running into these judges and all these judges giving y'all wild leniency? You feel me?
Privilege.
Wild privileges. And this was going on since the age of 15. So I always knew that there was something weird, like the court really came down to the discretion rather than the law,
The status.
because we had seen so many occurrences where we was just given second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, time, you know what I mean, or opportunities to just walk out. And uh they was even though they was showing me wild documentation, I read every Hakeem book, Moorish Paradigm book. I started looking at C. Freeman L DVDs, introduced to information from Taj Tariq, and in the Clock of Destiny, you know what I'm saying? And I had met an elder who was teaching class at the time, and he was responsible for putting together the paperwork. So that became my mentor. And long story short, he taught me a technique to offset the court proceedings, because at that time we were arguing jurisdiction. They was attempting to establish jurisdiction, and I was attempting to make a case that they couldn't establish jurisdiction. And I was getting washed up at the time because I was a novice. So he taught me a technique, and I went in the courtroom on September 10th, 2001, and I employed this technique. I had brought my brother out with me. I brought Red with me and a few other Moors. They was fezzed up. You know what I'm saying? So we had a strong contingency of people backing me up. Of course, like every other court case, they waited to every other case was finished. They cleared the courtroom, and they took me on one, and I did the technique. They asked me to state my name for the record, and rather the thing that a normal person would do is they would say their name. Me, I spelt my name, and I spelt it out word for word, and I spelt capital P, lowercase a, lowercase u, and the judge started throwing a fit. I mean, he was throwing shit at me off the bench, like, stop, what are you doing, are you crazy, this is not preschool, it's not kindergarten, you can't spell your name. So what happened when I spelt my name, I went on record as a flesh and blood human being. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna explain the particulars of this shit to everybody. For those who've ever dealt with a little piece of paperwork, you know what I'm talking about. You feel me? And for those that haven't, that's a whole nother program. But I came online, you know what I mean, that day, meaning that my paperwork now becomes toxic. You know what I'm saying? My shit comes alive inside of their system. Me, putting my foot down as flesh and blood, as God's motherfucking only son, because the paperwork be saying wild shit in it.
Let me interject.
Once you turn on, once you go online, everything in that paperwork is online too. So this was a very, this was an illmatic chess move. Go ahead.
So I just want to add some context to the story about where I was at mentally when the brother showed me his paperwork on September 9th. Okay. I'm just coming home from doing a parole violation in a boot camp called shock treatment. If anybody is ever familiar with the nonviolent, drug offense alternatives to going to hardcore jail, they have programs in different states under different names, but in New York State, we have shock. The name shock damn sure applies to what it is. It's like shock and awe. They shock your ass into straighten your ass. They straighten you up because it's a boot camp. So it's very disciplined. You have drill instructors all in your face. They're very hard on disciplinary actions. And if you slip up, you will get sent to the big house. And they always dangle that in front of you. So I had a hard time making it through in order to graduate. I graduated on August 28th. I came home to Brooklyn. I get scooped up in the Act Vigor. It was KT the Arts degree. It was my good brother Ant from out of Atlanta and BLUEPILL, right? That, you remember that time, Blue?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's that? What's that movie with my dude who be in the Chrysler commercials?
I don't know.
Something Dallas.
Who?
He's mad slim in the movie. Dallas Buyers Club or something. I don't know what it's called.
Matthew McConaughey. What you talking about?
Matthew McConaughey. So BLUEPILL been drinking Seymour's with what you would call it?
Oh,
The
bladder.
blue pill been drinking a concoction of sea moss with bladder in it.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Unfortunately,
I didn't know
that
it
nigga.
had bladder is a fat burner. I didn't know it had fat in it. So you see my face is slim like this. I used to have like baby fat on, my face was a lot fuller, you know what I'm saying? But I was down in I had went on a fast and I was only doing sea moss, like heavy doses of it, but I didn't know the shit had bladder in it. So I burnt up all of my baby fat. My face got mad slim.
So here it is. I'm coming home with the glow. I'm at a good solid 185. I got the up north weight on me. I got the glow. This nigga pull up looking like he could pick a lock. This nigga pull up looking like he could dodge raindrops. So I'm just clowning, but they take me right to the Marriott Hotel. Dr. Sabi is in town doing consultations. He had just did a lecture and whatnot. And they basically turned the downtown Marriott into their
office.
Right.
Right.
Mama Pill. I think it was who was there too. I don't know what staff. I don't know what cycle of staff it was at this point.
What's her name? What's the Spanish lady? That we of course we're not talking about
Guadalupe.
Yeah, Guadalupe was
Yeah,
there.
Guadalupe.
Shout out to Guadalupe.
They cooking. I'm talking about. I remember the last time I seen Sabi and them, we went to California after Vegas in 2000, and then I went to Atlanta. And that's when I got jammed up. And then the next time when I come home, I come to the hotel and the business is booming. You know what I mean? It's like, oh shit, Sabi is clicking. So, I get to see Mama Pill. We everybody gets linked back up. Boom, 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 boom. So September 9th comes and Blue is like, did I go to Moore's class with you before that?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't think so. Yeah, you wasn't. I was trying to get you out.
I had a curfew and whatnot. They had me on supervised parole, meaning that I had a 7:30 curfew. I mean, with shock parole, it's supervised parole along with some whole nother shit. Like I'm telling you, they had a sword over my head. So I couldn't have no police contact, no smoke, nothing. And I was not going back to those mountains. So this nigga hands me some paperwork. Now, mind you, prior to that, he starts deprogramming me because I'm programmed. I'm not even gonna lie. I was on some robotic shit. Like I was completely programmed when I came out of that program.
Yeah, let me just give a backdrop. 50 Cent, he came up with the idea of the militarized G unit because he also came from shock. So all of that lock and step, militarization, where he don't smoke and drink and all of that, all of that is the result of his shock treatment.
The way that he moves, his meticulous, all of that shit that you see 50 do is all shock. The way that he thinks, the way that he plots, everything that you see with Boo Boo, because when he went up north, when he went to shock, he came back as a different dude. They didn't have it in his movie. So y'all niggas who think that movies be telling niggas whole biography, don't go to the 50 Cent movie to look for it. I'm just here to let y'all know street shit. I think Jadakiss, Mace, even Sonetta went through shock. But anyway, so Blue is showing me he's showing me the VHS tapes of these newfound lecturers that I knew nothing of. You know what I mean? I heard about a few of them, but Blue had the library. So he's unplugging me. He's waking me up to stuff. I'm fighting it. I'm like, if you don't,
I was forceful, like,
oh man, he was on this.
Yeah, like I can't focus you ever.
He was on drill instructor conscious shit. I'm trying to be a nigga again. Huh, man. Because in shock, they don't give you, you could not. I found out that Aaliyah died because they had us cleaning bathrooms and I had somebody look out for me one day. I crawled underneath the bathroom stall with a garbage can, dumped the garbage out, and uncrumpled all of the newspapers just to read what was going on in the world.
Yeah, they
But
have zero contact.
When Princess Diana died, the moist ass drill instructor, he came in there all pigeon toed and whatnot, and we had to look at all of these TV. It was a special. They didn't have no TVs, no radio. These niggas brought a TV and a radio to us to make us fawn over Princess Diana. But that's a whole other thing. So I'm like, yo, turn this off. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to listen to this. Like, what is this? Then this nigga showed me the paperwork. Fam, I was ready to turn him in. I was ready to drop a kite on his ass. Like, hello, Homeland Security. Yeah, this nigga here. The paperwork was wild, crazy. It said some shit that he was. I think it said that he was God in capital letters.
Facts.
It was. I mean, it was mad offensive to my Negro chip. I was like,
your black app was short circuited. Like, sure, this nigga in like, nah, facts. It was offensive. I'm telling y'all, I was offended.
Man,
like,
look, I'm a nigga. I was at that point. I was a knuckle dragger. I was offended, so I be understanding how people be feeling. So then he said, "Yo, you're gonna come with me to court." Now remember, I can't have no police contact. I can't get into any kind of trouble. I couldn't even let them know that I was going to court with this nigga. And then he pulled these shenanigans where he starts spelling his name out. I'm sitting around dudes. I called them cone heads at first. You know what I mean? They got these feathers on. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Why don't you take that off? They're like, no, this is not a hat. I'm confused. I'm sitting there. I got linen on. You know, I'm feeling myself. You know, because of course Blue is providing new wardrobes. I'm popping tags and everything, courtesy of Macy's. And I'm like, fam, what did you just drag me into? Like, what is this? And why are we the only ones in the courtroom? And why is 10 correctional officers surrounding my brother? So I'll let you continue.
Yeah. So they Peter rolled me. You know what I'm saying?
Locked him up.
The judge or the magistrate, you know what I'm saying, for that um he was like, yo, get that nigga, you know what I'm saying? And they jumped on me, wrestled me to the floor, put me in cuffs, and took me in the back, right? In the process of them throwing me in the cage, what they didn't bet on was the fact that, you know, I didn't only come in there with paperwork. I did my 3-tier preparation. So I had killed all of my motherfucking chickens prior to that. I had my brown paper bag with the judges, with the magistrate's name written with my psalms and all of that in my left foot. You dig? You know, and I had my chicken foot in my pocket wrapped in my red linen, I mean my red satin. So when they emptied my pockets to put my my belongings through the x-ray, they seen the chicken foot. Man, the white shirt, the captain, that nigga came back there and was like, look, if you don't get the fuck up out of here and take that shit with you, you understand? He was like, leave. Grabbed all my stuff. I gets up out of there. I'm leaving. They all, when I come outside into the courtroom, all of the COs and them are standing over the judge, patting him on his back. His face is beet red. He's humped over, hyperventilating. They over him, patting him on his back, patting his head, telling him it's gonna be all right. I just bodied him. You know what I'm saying? Bodied him. I never seen him again after that. He was finished. He was finito. Right?
Yeah, he dropped off your case.
Yeah, he got dropped off the case and everything. So he had to recuse himself because I bodied him. So I left up out of there, not knowing the magnitude of what I had just done. You know what I'm saying? They took me back to Brooklyn to meet now with the official council of all of the malls. They now was an open arm ceremony. They welcomed me in. I was the Mahdi for a day. And we was building that night to like 3 a.m. outside, like 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying? And we was like, yo, there's somewhere around the world that bombs must be dropping. There's no way we could be splitting atoms like this and it doesn't have no physical ramifications in the real world. So I go home And before I go to sleep that night, I start reading a book by David Icke, right? It was either In the Truth Shall Set You Free or The Biggest Secret. And in this book, David Icke was like, look, they're gonna hit the towers again. And they're gonna name it on a man, they're gonna blame it on a man named Osama bin Laden. He had it in the book. I read this shit the night before 9/11.
Hold on, because for the family that don't know, right, that 1993 there was a bombing at the World Trade Center. They tried to bomb it the first time because a lot of people don't know. They don't have any context of the first bombing of the World Trade.
Yeah, so that was the first bombing. So David Icke in his book, he was like, look, they're gonna hit the towers again, and they're gonna blame it on a man named Osama bin Laden. He said, make sure that you watch and see what news agency reports it first. So I wake up, I get the wake up call like 8:30. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm peeled to the TV.
Oh, Dad woke us up.
Yeah, I mean the wake up call that I got was Paul, Phil, turn the fuck TV. You know, that was my wake up call. My father called from downstairs and was like, yo, turn the TV on. And we turn the TV on, we see planes going into the towers, right?
Negative.
I'm like, I just read about this. You dig what I'm saying? So I'm on code immediately. I'm like, let me see, you know, what news agency is the first one to say it. And he had elaborate chapters on the significance of Columbia, why they use Columbia as an entity, as a deity, why they call District of Columbia, Columbia, and all of that. It's all centered around that deity. So sure enough, the first news station to mention Osama bin Laden as a suspect was CBS, right? Central Columbia Broadcasting System, the one eye. So you know, there was nothing else in my mind. There was nothing else that I needed to be skeptical of everything else that was to come after that. But when them niggas said, we found their ID. Yo, when it, you have the nerve, you know, to tell logical thinking melanated beings who don't, I'm not clogged up by none of that BS. You know, I'm not under the spell of the church. I wasn't eating crazy at that time. I had already my mind made up, you know, about the power of consciousness and to be taking my life to get this information. So my eyes was already open. And I'm like, you come on now, like this is ridiculous. You found laminated IDs in rubbish where people were disintegrating from the heat, right? This what you want me to believe. So immediately, you know what I'm saying? I just started just decode, like I just that thrust me into my decoding mode, you know, where we just started collecting bits and pieces of news. And, you know, of course, you waiting to see what the big homies say. So the most anticipated upcoming lecture at that point was, oh, we gotta wait and see what Dr. Valentine say, because he was the preeminent lecturer at that time, and this is what he does. This was his field. This was his theater. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And you know, his classical 9/11 decoding lecture came not too long after that. What was it? The Mathematics of the Beast. Which one was it?
No, it wasn't the Mathematics of the Beast. It was I know it was at the Chocolate Factory in Brooklyn, right? It wasn't LIU, was it? I think it was the chocolate thing, right?
Mm. I mean, I know he, you know, his initial one, it wasn't, I don't think it was at the chocolate. It might have been at the Fort Greene Senior, because when I'm looking at my mind, I know it was a venue that went like this, and the walls was kind of like greenish looking type.
No, it was, you sure it was the exposed brick walls? That was the
The exposed brick wall was the chocolate thing on Fulton, right?
Yeah, on Fulton.
Right.
Well,
Well,
all I know,
yeah. Anyway, yeah.
the reason why I attribute Dr. Phil Valentine for being my Morpheus, right? Not to take anything away from Dr. Sabi or anybody else who came before that time, is because that was when I took the red pill. He was the one who did it for me. He was the one who changed the course of my trajectory after that lecture. I walked out of that lecture with a migraine, and I caught a migraine watching the VHS tape when you threw it on in the crib. We started digging in and started to really,
Yeah.
like
Peeling back and decoding.
huh?
You started peeling the layers back and
Woo,
doing
we
our
start
own
peeling the
decoding.
layers back. That 9/11 triggered us so hard. I'm talking about we might have been up for 24 hours just digging in, going through Ike books, you know. But one of the things about the Valentine, when I heard him with his lexicon and the spicy language and his swag,
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, he's talking to me. Cause after a while with David Icke, you start running into the 6 foot tall, blonde hair, alien, blue eye shit. And you be like,
Yeah,
this nigga,
he had
he's
mad
not
fluff and
on
filler in
linen,
there. Like you had to be very discretionary. You
mad
still have to
discretion
be very discretionary reading anything that comes from David Icke. The
from any
biggest
European.
yeah, somebody asked me the name of the book. The Biggest Secret is one of them, and The Truth Shall Set You Free is another name of his books. Proceed with caution. You feel me? Proceed with caution. He got a lot of cut in there. And that's what they do. You know what I'm saying? They throw a lot of stuff in there to throw you off. But Valentine destroyed his lecture. And Bobby came, destroyed his lecture. You know what I'm saying? And those was the twin pillars of the the decoding of 9/11 at that time. Delbert might have came along and did something else. You know what I'm saying? But Bobby and Phil, that was it. And they was signaling the fact that we had started a new time and a new epoch and a new era. And we have forgotten that, because a lot of people, like Red was saying, a lot of people's eureka moment of when they woke up was Mike Brown or Trayvon Martin, stuff a lot. Like, what happened to 9/11? Okay, niggas is like they was babies at the time. I get it. You dig what I'm saying? But for grown folk, you know what I'm
But
saying?
them rooms was packed. You know what I'm
But
saying?
look, the rooms was packed. But even like I'm looking at old Bobbies and stuff like that. I'm like, there's no really familiar faces in the building. I saw some elders who are no longer with us. But what happened to all of them people that was in attendance back in the days?
Where the fuck are them niggas at?
Yeah, the rooms was packed, but you don't see none of them people no more.
None
You
of them.
dig what I'm saying?
What happened to them?
I'm
That's
the
the
only face in that crowd that I see that I still know to this day. Robert Smalls, there's an elder. He was responsible for introducing me to Dr. Delbert Blair, Lester Loving, Hank Rising's son, all the way back in the days, right? And Robert Smalls has a deep history because he knew us since we was the age of 5, and he also happened to be Polite's second grade teacher, some crazy shit like that. Like he got mad history. So he's one of the elders that I see that was there that's still here to this day. But it's like I don't see nobody no more. You feel me? That was there from back then. And this is when they gave all of the instructions and they were warning, the community about what they were gonna come with. It took them about 15 or 16 years to come with the BIE, but this is what Bobby and Valentine was saying on September 12th, 2001.
That's a super
Like,
fact.
yo, this is who they coming for. All of this is a farce. This ain't got nothing to do with no goddamn Arabs. They're gonna use the Moors as a throughway because the Moors have a foot into the Arab world by way of Islam, and they have another foot into Pan-Africanism and the quote unquote, black nationalism by way of their ties to the community and their conversations about nationality. So they said, look, they're going to use them as a vehicle, to get in. But ultimately, the target is going to be this small pocket of consciousness, this community that is the only ones in the world with their lights on right now. And it was a very small, intimate community, and people knew one another, and people's families knew one another, and we broke bread together. It's not what you see today. This is the
Oh no.
fallout of that community.
After
This
the
is not that
infiltration,
community. This is the community after 3 or 4 levels of infiltration. You know what I'm saying?
that's a fact. And tell them about who they began to target, who started getting knocked off right after 9/11, who were black
Well,
nationalists and
they
extreme.
they they knocked Khalid Muhammad off before 9/11. They knocked H. Rat Brown off right before 9/11. So they got the people out of the way, and I think Farrakhan might have had health issues. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the people who were the voices, who could be the most vocal at the time to tell black people or melanated people, look, this is a farce. Do not start waving no goddamn American flag. They got them out of the way. You know what I'm saying?
Real
So there was
facts.
no leadership. There was no leadership. That's why when I be talking about, and I don't want to disrespect what came before us, in regards to what's considered the quote unquote conscious community. But when I came in and when I was looking for community, there was no community. There was lecturers giving lectures with no one under the age of 40 attending those lectures. So there was no youth based movements. Khalid Muhammad had a youth based movement, but that was like the New Black Panthers. That was people more like Sonetta. They had the berets on with the army boots and shit with the bullhorns. That's
Yeah.
not what I was looking for. You know what I'm saying?
And
I wasn't looking for that. And we identified with the militants of Khalid Muhammad, but that wasn't necessarily somebody that I was looking to come under the auspices of. Even though I had a high level of respect for what he was doing on the front line, and the fact that we used to see him even here in Atlanta in the trap in the hood. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I seen him outside of those elements, of New York. We seen him out here as well. And yeah, Khaled was a force to be reckoned with. But once they got rid of Khaled, it was pretty much an open door. And then they started coming hammering down on Dr. York, because Dr. York was down here in Atlanta on the land. And
oh man, he had the youth.
yeah, he had the youth, but that was very eccentric for me. You know what I mean? That was too much. You know what I'm saying? I was not gonna gravitate towards that necessarily. You know what I mean? So when we got into consciousness, there was no youth element involved. There was nobody that was speaking to children who had been orientated off of hip hop. You know,
Hold on. And H. Rap Brown in the West End. I was in the West End
speak on it.
when H. Rap was out there. He had an element of the youth as well. You know what I mean? They were very militant and they were very Islamic. And they had the West End on Smidash. Okay. They were
Right.
putting dope dealers in dumpsters. All right. That's how they were moving. They were moving extremely militant and they were taking heads in the process, and they lined him up something serious. Like they lined him up crazy, and got him the fuck out of here. And look at the West End now. Shout out to the West End.
Let's get
Go
them
ahead.
likes buttons up, y'all.
Yeah, what's happening?
All right. Empress is not in the building, but we could still show a level of civility. All right. Let's pay some respect to this room. Let's get them likes up. All right. It's a good
Yeah,
amount of y'all watching. It's not a good amount of like buttons. Let's get them likes up. But
Doing
yeah,
your
so Valentine, came forward with a epic masterpiece in regards to him giving the breakdown on 9/11. And that brother always peeled the surface back, and he was telling us stuff that it was just profound to me at the time. But what he was talking about was, you know, the psychological import of what just took place and the fact that it had fractured our cosmic egg, and we would not see the full effects of what took place until years down the road. Now, let me give you an illustration, if I can, a mental illustration of what took place. So, the Twin Towers, right, were opened up for business on April 4th, 1973. Right. If you look at the towers, and I posted some pictures earlier on my IG, the towers in effect were tuning forks, right? They
tuning.
were two big tuning forks. And if you look at the exterior of the building, they're all small tuning forks to make up one very big tuning fork, which is the tower. And to top it off, they have an antenna on the top to give you an idea if this is about a resonance, it's about frequency, right? They built the Twin Towers on what was called Radio Row. So all of the stores in that area at one point were for telecommunication, even for transmission, right? So the towers are beaking, a transmitting beacon, right? Tuning forks in this country are set to A440. That's the standard pitch for tuning forks in this country. Um, and I'm not saying that that's what those tuning forks were set to. The buildings themselves are 44 resonators. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother story. But when you slam a plane, a projectile into those buildings, whether that was because niggas is like, oh, that was a hologram. Okay. That fucking demolition wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Okay.
Holograms,
So yeah,
bro.
we'll deal with the hologram buildings on one account, but give me mines when we talk about them goddamn demolitions. All right, because I know some people who still ain't got that motherfucking dust out of their clothes to this day. So cut it out. The buildings got hit by projectiles. If you're ringing right one tuning fork, that's a resonant frequency. If you're ringing two of them now, then that is causing vibratory resonance between both buildings. Now they collapse. You understand? What sort of resonant frequency, what sort of vibratory frequency do you think that is going to emit in the universe? Right? Now, when we're talking about vibratory frequencies, we know that something set to a particular pitch, we can't hear everything and pick it up, i.e., dogs can hear certain things at a pitch that you can't, i.e., a dog whistle, right? You can't hear a dog whistle, a dog can. So this is a pitch that is not pretty much picked up by the human ear. And there was all sorts of people, oh, we heard all kind of bombs and eerie sounds. And so you don't know what was hearing or what was heard, but let's just keep that concept in mind, that these tuning forks were collapsed and that transmitted some sort of resonance throughout the galaxy. If you look at the galaxy as an elliptical egg, right? The same way that the earth traverses the sun in elliptical fashion, like an egg. Look at the universe or the cosmic universe as being enveloped in what's considered like a cosmic egg. Even if this is hypothetical, right? In that particular resonant frequency cracks that cosmic egg, right? And then something is going to ooze out of the egg like yolk, right? What that was, there was oozing out of the egg was our collective consciousness, okay? Or let's say our manhood, right? As melanated men in this country who had an opportunity, a once in a lifetime opportunity, right? To make some sort of decision or declaration and stick with it. Now, I'm not saying that you pick up sticks and you go by the way of what they're saying the terrorists is doing, but it's a decision that you make up in your heart. You know what I'm saying? About, yo, oh, this is what I'm willing to do to protect me and mines. Because they started a pogrom right after that, the same way that they going door to door right now with ICE. They was doing that in the hood with Muslim families, and there was melanated Muslim people that was highly affected by these door to door pogroms as well. And same way that like some gangbangers be putting away their flag, it's the same way that niggas was folding up their prayer rugs and you know what I mean?
That's a fact.
Denouncing their religion out of fear. So this was the impetus. This was the first time in our generation, because we didn't live through slavery, or we didn't live through Jim Crow, and we didn't live through, the hoses and the hoses and the motherfucking Dobermans and shit and the German Shepherds. But we lived through 9/11 and niggas got hella scared. You understand? Niggas
mad shook
for no reason. Because they was telling you should be scared. And niggas bought into that program. Oh, I'm scared. Right? Certain niggas enlisted. And this is not, I'm not even gonna get into none of that. It's ain't about that. Right? Certain niggas enlisted. Other niggas threw in the red, white, and blue and started waving flags. I think you mentioned earlier, Wu-Tang was one of them. Right?
Yeah.
You know, and this was the day that the motherfucking blueprint came out. Okay. So this was also the battle of the Twin Towers in hip hop. Right. This was a proverbial battle between the spiritual and the material. Jay-Z representing the material, Nasir representing the spiritual. They were both fighting for the position of street prophet, though. The right to be the one who sits on the top of nigger kingdom, right? And the person who sits on the top of nigger kingdom can pretty much instruct where niggas go.
That's right.
Dictate to niggas how they should be rolling out. So it would be thought that Nas would have more of a revolutionary approach, especially during a time like that, to be like, yo, that's some bullshit. Because whoever's in top of nigga kingdom is the one responsible to tell niggas whether they should be scared or not, or what it is that they're looking at.
To march or to what direction to march in. The impetus is on them.
No
that's called leadership.
Right? They have no direction. They have no leadership. It's no different to this day. How funny this should come all the way around 360 to this day, coincidentally enough. Well, Jay-Z was the leader of nigga kingdom at that time. You know what I'm saying? He stunted on Nas. He damn sure made a declaration and a separation to let niggas know that he was with the shits, but he also started waving the flag and doing relief concerts and shit like that. So this is where his politics started. His politics started on 9/11.
That's a fact.
When he entered into the political foray, because he started donating to relief funds and he started doing relief concerts. He did relief concerts.
We was at that one.
I was at the one. He didn't even wear his jewelry. This is the first time you've seen the nigga without no jewelry on. Facts.
Factory.
Right. So this was the position, you know what I mean? This was this was the subtle fights for positioning that was taking place at the time when this country was in turmoil, lacking leadership, because George Bush was not it. You dig what I'm saying? George Bush was not it. You feel me? And like I said, for people in our generation that remember, George Bush was way worse than Donald Trump, because this nigga was a baffling idiot. And it was the first time that we in this country ever saw the slip showing for the presidency. We were raised to believe that shit was a noble office and you had to be presidential. And since we didn't grow up during Nixon, we never saw sloppy presidencies, right? Even with Reagan looked presidential. You know what I'm saying? He was really guarded.
Yes.
You seen Billy Graham on the TV, you seen Pat Robertson, and then you would see Ronald Reagan and John Wayne and them niggas was still running around. So you couldn't even make a distinction.
Charles Heston and all that. Charlton Heston.
He looked presidential, somewhat acted presidential, and they had enough of a shield around him that he felt like it was a presidential presidency. Right? Unlike this shit here, like what the fuck is this? Right? But when we had George Bush, that was like, come on. Y'all tend to
Remember,
forget. They scared niggas into complying with the BS. They scared niggas into having any dissentful conversations post 9/11.
oh, they made niggas swallow that.
They made niggas swallow that. But we never stopped. So from day one, even before the towers came down, we looking at this baffling fool, this idiot, this drunkard. Like, are you serious?
This cokehead.
This cokehead. Like, this is what America has to offer as the face of leadership going into the new millennia.
Is it Fahrenheit 9/11? This showed you how his inauguration was a bust. They were throwing eggs at him.
Yeah, it was throwing eggs.
Um, yeah,
it was
nobody really showed up.
Yeah.
It rained on them.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a
shit show.
He
was a bust. Period. He was a duck. What they call it, a lame duck president until 9/11 kicked in, and they caught him in the classroom reading the kiddies book Upside Down.
The pet goat.
The pet goat, right?
Upside down.
Right in the middle of the Jason months, right? So it was always Dick Cheney. You know what I mean? And Dick Cheney was as you've seen in the movie Vice, he was a holdover from the Nixon administration.
Cheney and Rumsfeld.
Yeah, Cheney and Rumsfeld was once in charge of a department called the OEO. And the OEO, the Office of Economic Opportunity, was what LBJ put in place after civil rights and the riots to not after the, I don't think it was after the riots, but it was definitely after civil rights.
To get the 8 bag.
Yeah, it went after, it extended into the riots as well. But this was the administration that was to allocate to melanated people their equal sum. This was their form of reparations at the time. After civil rights, after they brought people in for the very first time. Mind you, this was the end of segregation. It happened 55 years ago. So they said, look, we're going to give you some funds to give you an equal footing so you can catch up. And that office was the office that was designated to hand these funds out. This is where welfare came from. This is where Social Security and all of that shit came from. This is where Head Start programs came from, right? And this is the same people that had the nerve to tell them, look, in the Moynihan report called the Negro Family, all of this shit is Googleable. They said, look, if you niggas cannot get it gainfully, right? Meaning if you can't get your money up lawfully, they said, look, niggas dope in these streets.
Get it out the mud, nigga.
Yeah, get it out the mud. It's like, you better control your black market. You understand? They said control your black market. Don't let that drug money go to no other ethnic group. If you can't get it legally, nigga, get it through the motherfucking mud. That's what they told them. Right?
That's a fact.
So Rumsfeld and Dick Cheney and them, they fleeced that agency. They fleeced that agency at the time, right? Took them for all their money. So when Nixon came in, it was a farce, right? Rumsfeld and Cheney pop up again in the Bush presidency to run that, right? After they had instituted their planning for the takeover of the Middle East. What was it called again? The Project for New America.
Project for America.
Yeah. And what did they do? They stole $2 trillion the day before the towers went down. So these niggas had been stealing money since the 70s, family.
That's a fact.
Pulling the
Sith Lords, they've been raping America and basically opening up, these black ops and funding secret wars and basically funding what you know nowadays as the deep state. But the deep state got a few $1 trillion, funneled and pumped into its veins. And then that was on September the 10th when Donald Rumsfeld came forward, like Blue Pill said, don't believe anything that we say. Just go and Google it. Maybe you could share your screen and just pull it up on the Google and whatnot for the archives. But he went and said, he didn't say somebody stole it. He didn't say that we got a cyber. Now they more crafty these days. They'll just say that Russia hacked them or there was a cyber attack. He just said he said that a few trillion is missing and we don't know where it went.
All right, here we go. All right, because you know, election season is coming. These niggas are still talking politics, and guess who they want to blame? The pillars, right? Y'all niggas are responsible for Donald Trump. Y'all told us not to vote for Hillary, right? That's why we can't get on the Breakfast Club to this day. Nah.
I know these niggas wanted Bill Clinton. They wanted Hillary.
They wanted Hillary. So look, Rumsfeld says 2.3 trillion missing from the Pentagon, right? Okay, so this is a debunked site that says that the money wasn't missing; it was just how it was accounted for. That's some bullshit.
Fuck out of here.
That's some bullshit.
$2 trillion, right? Oh, we just put it in the wrong checking account. Come on, man.
Nah, let's go ahead because I mean it never stops. You know what I'm saying? So this is the updated version. This is in 2018. America's missing money. The federal government can't account for 21 trillion. But does anybody care? So this is nothing new. This is nothing new. On September 10th, 2001, then U.S. Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld disclosed that his department was unable to account for roughly $2.3 trillion worth of transactions. The next day, the U.S. sustained the terrorist attacks to change the world, and this startling revelation was forgotten. When an account discrepancy occurs that cannot be traced, it's customary to make what is called an undocumentable adjustment. This is similar to when your checkbook balance is off by, say, $10. You add or subtract that amount to make everything balance with the bank. In 1999, the amount that the Pentagon adjusted was 8 times the Defense Department budget for that year. It was 1/3 greater than the entire federal budget. By 2015, the amount reported missing by the Office of the Inspector General had increased to 6.5 trillion, and that was just for the Army. Okay, so these were all of the black ops. You know what I'm saying? These were all of these black op operations. That later on they have to fund with stuff like what's them programs, they Fast and Furious, and you know the shit that you be seeing that hits the news when they'll catch a tanker with 200 or something bricks or what have you. But this is how they fund all of these black op operations. You dig what I'm saying? This is definitely how they fund their black op operations. 6.5 trillion missing, 21 trillion missing, and these are accounting mistakes, right? And let you be off a few dollars and they throwing your ass in jail. But these are accounting mistakes. Come on, fam. You know what I mean? If you believe that, I got a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you. You feel me? So, you know, this is what they do. This is what they do. You know what I mean? And there's just so many discrepancies that I'm not going to get into all of the particulars about the reports of 9/11 and you know what the engineers say. You know, all of this stuff is documented. I'm very surprised that there's a large contingency of young people, millennials in particular, who never saw Zeitgeist. They never saw Loose Change. They never saw Fahrenheit 9/11. You know, these things are imperative. You know, you should be binging on this the way that you binge on, you know, Friday and next Friday and all that other stupid shit. Like, why don't you know what Zeitgeist is? Why don't you know what Loose Change is? You feel me? Like, all of this information is available, you know? So,
because it ain't on Netflix.
yeah. Lennon Honor was another guest on our program. I'm gonna pull up that show because he wrote a book on 9/11 and the fear campaign that's associated with it. You know, it's called fear-based mind
Hey,
control. You know,
let's
they
not
have
forget them.
a part one and a part two with him, and he speaks elaborately on the cosmic egg that I'm talking about, on the psychological aspect that every time that you see the word 9/11 or any imagery associated with it, and when you see Donald Trump, he's associated with 9/11. When you see Barack Obama, he's associated. Everything that you see, Hillary, anything that you see subconsciously is triggering your trauma associated with that event, whether you know it or not. So that egg, that proverbial cosmic egg, is cracking and cracking and cracking, and something is always oozing. Every time of year when this shit comes around, um, people's stress goes up. You know what I mean? But it's continuous throughout the year. Every time that you hear about something dealing with Iraq, that's triggering 9/11, Afghanistan, war on terror, ISIS, all of these things are triggering 9/11. Right?
That's a
I
fact.
just dropped
Yep.
the link in the chat for the podcast dealing with the brother Leonard Honor. I'll pull up another podcast that we did where you could get the cosmophysics, right, of 9/11, right? Brother Ra Cool did an unprecedented episode um with us dealing with 9/11 and what was going on in the cosmos at the time. Since you shouldn't believe anything that anyone tells you, you know what I'm saying? But take it from the cosmos. The cosmos don't lie, right?
And honorable mention as well is our good brother A.A. Rashid's book that he authored, Behind the Wall, dealing with 9/11 as well.
Yes. That,
Kabbalistic breakdown.
that was called the Pillars, right?
Yes. Seminal work.
Yes. And that was the book that I had, when I got hold of that book and I read that, I was like, yo, we got to do whatever we can to make sure that this brother has the platform that he needs to express his genius when he comes home. So, none of us have to fall into no level of criminality to get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all need to be locked and loaded, you know, in this particular modality, you know what I'm saying? Learning and bringing that information back to the people. That was the new cool for us. Um, yeah, and that book did it. Like, he definitely broke some codes in that. So, yeah, man. So I say all that to say that, there was a direct attack on masculinity at that time at the most subtle effect, because what it does, especially when the fear mongering is kicked up to a whole nother level, the question is, can you provide safety and security? You know what I'm saying? And even in normally in peace times, that was an issue for melanated men who were always, going back and forth. But I mean, before I say, like, before New York was like post 9/11, before it was a police state, like, niggas dealt with the police different. You know what I'm saying? Before shit became a police state, niggas dealt with the police different. So even though the police used to get out of line, niggas was still, you know, like, they still had a level of gumption in them where, you know, people wasn't that motherfucking afraid to push back. Post 9/11, you could forget about it.
Oh yeah, that shit went right out the window.
Yeah, you could forget about it. When none of that going on, you know what I mean? Especially in New York, they had the fear campaign going because they had the Hercules niggas, the new niggas running around looking like straight up G.I. Joe. You feel me? They was looking like the turtles on the island. So all of that shit went out the window. You know what I mean? So man's inability to be a protectorate for his own community and especially for his woman, it went from, I watched an 18-year slide culminating for the most part, and I really hope that this is not received in the wrong way because I mean no malice by it. But when I saw Malik Yobo on Breakfast Club this morning, and it's not about picking on nobody or pointing fingers. I'm just saying, look where we at, black man. Like this is where skirt, like this is skirt, like this is where the whip. You know what I mean? This is where the whip has pulled into his parking at, and the doors open, and what has emerged. And that's where the conversation is at on 9/11 2019. That's what it's hitting for. We're not talking about no level of, divine masculinity. We're not talking about no level of redress. We're not talking about the Jubilee year when niggas have received the keys to the kingdom and you supposed to be coming through this bitch looking like a Mufasa and T'Challa wrapped in one. Right? That ain't what you looking at. You know what I'm saying? That ain't what you looking at. You feel me? You got the classic man, right? And you got Malik Yoba telling you, yo, I love women so much that I even love women with dicks. That's how much I love women, and I'm so hetero. I'm so hetero. Let me do the remix. So hetero.
I'm so yoga.
Again, yo, no disrespect. I'm just saying we are a year outside of 2020. If we want to look, what did 9/11 do in terms of installing a military and police state where the state of melanated men went from sacred to scared? Like I said, it's an anagram. Turn them ACs around to CA, and niggas went from sacred, right? Sacred king, sacred manhood to scared niggas. You feel me? To scared niggas, right? And it's a lot of wild style shit going on out here. You know, it's a lot of wild style shit going on out here. 19 Keys does a very good job of using the numerologics of the numbers 1 and 9 and 9 and 1 to explain that emasculation program. You know what I mean? And what happens when you put that feminine resonance before the masculine, before you put the 9 before the 1, and that becomes, once again, like I said, your vibratory frequency, your resonance, the shit that you're always hearing, and what you hear has a tone to it, it has a frequency to it. And that frequency can conform matter and realities. You know what I'm saying? And we have a reality in the world that we live in today that is very emasculated, and not just based on what we're seeing in regards to LGBT. I'm just talking about the energy and the attitude of the men in this place. You know what I'm saying? And you know, in respects to what the direction is, today as opposed to maybe what it was, in the early 2000s or the late 1990s or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like I just what is the compensation like? Where is it going and where are we heading? And you know what I mean? Because you're more tapped into the collective consciousness of melanated people of blackness and shit like that. I went through my whole dissertation yesterday about how I was calling the bluff. Like you know, I don't see this shit unified.
What?
I don't see this shit collectively, moving towards a particular goal or an agenda or frequency. You know what I'm saying? Like
Now expound on that briefly before I answer that question.
I don't know what.
What it is that you were saying about the not seeing a
Well,
collective.
yeah, yesterday, I was saying that if we follow the concept of as above, so below, we look at blackness, this concept of blackness, and we look in the sky, we like, okay, well, blackness envelopes the universe, it envelopes space. There's no gaps in between. You know what I'm saying? It's in unison, it's encompassing, it's enveloping. But when you get to the planet, when you get down to earth, um it's very fragmented, it's very compartmentalized. You know what I mean?
That's a
You go
fact.
from nation to nation, and then even when you come inside of a nation like this, you'll have your conversations like the ADOS, like them saying, oh, well, they not us. You know what I'm saying? Because they from the Caribbean. And the Caribbean, niggas from Grenada is like, oh, them niggas is Bayesian. They gotta handle that. Oh, them niggas is Trini, or they gotta handle that. All the way down to you getting to the states or to the cities, and niggas from New York is like, hey, like we're borough centric, and then in the boroughs they're neighborhood centric. You know what I'm saying? Niggas like we so Brooklyn. This shit ain't got nothing to do with Queens. You feel me? So black people are very tribal, very segregated, even though they want to identify as such. You know what I mean? There's no level of unison. There's no general response to anything that blackness is experiencing collectively across the globe. There's no black response to the Bahamas. There's no black response to Angola. There's no black response to the Congo. There's no black response to fucking South Africa. There's no black response to what's going on in Chicago. There's no black response to what the hell is going on in Philly. Niggas is making songs about that shit. You feel me? So that's what I'm saying. Like, there doesn't seem to be no collective agenda amongst this so-called blackness, especially as it pertains to what black men are doing. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, for the most part, that's where my question is coming from. I'm like, have
I
you
think,
seen anything different? You in different networks than I am.
excuse me? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh I'm not sure what network I belong to that you may not be a part of.
Like you be on Twitter. I don't be on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter surfing. You know what I'm talking about? Like I'm on Twitter surfing through the debauchery. I'm on Twitter, in the echo chamber. I'm on Twitter doing my due diligence and my research about who the hell Black Twitter is. And, I'm on Twitter observing the dynamics on how tweets go viral. Things like that, you
Okay.
know? And like you said earlier, we are extremely fragmented by ideological differences. We're extremely fragmented because of religious ideology. I'm in the deep South, right? I've been out here for about a week. The way that our people react and conversate to Europeans who are openly aggressive towards, I'm talking about to hillbillies and to white trash. It does not reflect the fact that Black people have been hung, lynched, you know, kidnapped, raped, molested, and done all kind of dirty ways by these same people, bro. Like, it don't take much for a white supremacist to get some conversation out of a Black woman down south, bro.
You mean like rap?
I'm talking about seeing all of her fucking teeth, shit like that, just to get her, you know, loosened up.
Mm.
You know, you don't see the resistance like that. You know, you don't see the resistance. You know, the prize in any war is the woman. So for somebody of another race who has shown open aggression and hatred, and not just that, terrorism towards the men of the other race, for him to be able to pull up on your woman like that, bruh. They have an overstanding of where they're at in this war. You know, the reason why things like that are, to me, so strong is because we're in the Bible Belt, and the glue that holds this whole thing together is this fucking religion, bro. And the fact that subtly, if you pray to a white God, you know, and the level of intellect that people approach religion with is elementary, because I promise you, they really think that there's a white man in the clouds who's running shit. So there's a reluctancy for them to be aggressive or even to ignore these same Europeans who they say they don't care about. You know, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. It's crazy. The religion is out here. This whole thing with these people who have chosen, you know, alternative lifestyles, that movement that's fragmented, a complete, you know, it's just, it's everything that's in a cesspool is you know, it's just, it's so many fragments. There, how could it be unity? How could there be one agenda? How could I listen to Charlemagne say that he doesn't even know who he is, bro? This is the leader of the woke niggas. He was like, I don't even know who I am. And the tenets to be a god and a goddess is man know thyself. So if you could say that you don't know who you are in 2019 as a grown-ass man writing books, and you're responsible, but you have opinions about everything else, but you don't
Are
know
you
who
referring
you are.
to Malik Yoba asking him, was he a heterosexual
Yes.
man? And he said that he guessed. I don't know. I guess I am.
Yes. And so did DJ Envy. And then he backtracked. He tried to double back and say, well, according to, I'm a cis heterosexual, but that's not what he was necessarily saying. He was like, in today's environment or in this climate, I don't know who I am. I'm like, fam, the babies are listening. You could, like, you should be secure. You should be able to stand up. And I don't give a fuck if it's 100 LBG. I don't care if I don't care if Campbell Soup is in the building. I don't care if they all the letters are there. You was not comfortable with saying that you're a real man around these people who have clear identity crises. Because the people who hold the sword, or the people who are dangling carrots over all of these brothers that are in some industry, whether it be fashion, because New York Fashion Week showed me a whole bunch of things as well, whether it's fashion, whether
Oh
it's
yeah.
film.
The way that they conform around fashion. I mean, I never knew a piece of cloth had so much goddamn power. That cloth will make you climb out of your skin to get in a whole nother fucking modality to fit into some clothes. I'm like, nigga, sick. Put me in a fucking a sackcloth or something like that. Like, it ain't that serious, B. I mean, I love the way this shit make me feel, but I'm not gonna get turned out for some fucking clothes.
But yeah,
But I
exactly.
mean, at the same time, I grew up in the era where we had designer whores.
That's
You know
the
what I'm saying?
fact.
Where women were they was allowing us to turn them out for Gucci, Fendi, Prada, DKNY, the BC.
For that BCBG. What Big said.
know.
Big had a line about the clothes, what they would do for the clothes.
Bending over for a pair of Moschino jeans, the Donna Tarrant tank tops. I got the bank stops.
You know? I mean, when you know thyself, you comfortable in a wife beater and some goddamn swimming trunks. It's not that serious. They got traptivists, not even traptivists, not even trappers who are fronting like activists. They got full-blown trap rappers, bando niggas out here looking crazy. So it's just like, then you see the video in Chicago with a brother, you know, he went to the extreme and basically put his freedom on the line to protect Black women who were being disrespected by these nail salons. What happens? He gets locked up. Somebody goes to the nail salon a few days later. The shit got more Black women in it than when the day that he broke the shit with than the day he threw the brick through the window. The shit all of the windows is boarded up, and it's like
a nail party inside.
Party, man, come on, fam. Shit like a day party. It looked like they was giving out free Fenty makeup. and then you see what happened in the Bahamas. So they say Michael Jordan was donating $1 million to the Bahamas. I said that the Bahamas make $1 million off of one cruise going to the Bahamas. The Bahamas clear $1 million every day just off of food that them tourists is spending. Like the Bahamas, Jordans make $1 million on 125th Street alone every day. If you count the money up from river to river, from when the stores open up at 10 a.m. to when they close at 8 p.m., nigga, they sell $1 million in Jordan just on 25th, just on that whole strip from east to west.
Right.
A day, not even on a Saturday, y'all. So I'm like, that's light money. I mean, I appreciate what he's doing. So I added Kevin Durant. I added, because I saw an article that said that the 3 highest paid athletes was the nigga who plays soccer, Ronaldo, what's my dude? LeBron James. LeBron is guaranteed by Nike $30 million a year, right? The other dude got a lifetime contract with Nike. Ronaldo.
Zion or Ronaldo?
Yeah, Zion got some crazy. I added Zion. I added LeBron. I added KD. I added a few other people. And I was like, today is the day to be like Mike. You feel me?
Who want to be like Mike?
Who want to
be like Mike?
You know, let's come together, because this was after my heart was bleeding because of what I saw with them videos with all of them people suffering in the Bahamas. And it just dawned upon me that, yo, there's no collective agenda whatsoever. Like, there's no people were making more of a rant about getting Alexa Sky's car back in Atlanta at a gas station, right? Than helping our people in the Bahamas who babies was getting eaten by fucking sharks in front of them. You dig? And that's a problem. And people really be like, that's not their duty. Yes, it is. Fuck is you talking about? People be running around claiming Mach D status, and you know, they don't know that the weight that comes with that. Don't claim woke if you're not ready to carry that motherfucking woke globe, because it's a weight, bro. Don't claim social justice warrior if you ain't fighting no fucking warriors fight. Just say that you a weekend warrior and you do this on Friday to Sunday, bro. When you culminate at a mega church or something. But stop trying to carry these lofty titles when niggas is not right. When you get tested by the universe, it's a monthly cycle. Like the universe is conspiring to see if you niggas are built like that. And it's just disheartening to see how many people fold. And not only do they fold their hands, but they get right back at the table as if these niggas did not bust as if they not playing, as if their hands is not folding at every fucking play. So I'm like, there's no collective agenda. It's just a bunch of niggas out here rallying and trying to get more followers. This is about the individual. It's not about the group. It's not about the collective. And then when you want to have a collective conversation, these niggas have poisoned the water, like the lady in the Bahamas said, when the oil spilled in the water. So you can't even drink from the collective well anymore. You can't say, let's help our people, because there's 8 niggas in the audience saying, that's not my people. So what are we to do? Who are we to identify with? Which way do we go? Who do I stand with? Let's be clear for everybody that's listening. If you a man and you attracted to another man and you doing shit with another dude, you're not my guy. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm not standing with no dude who's touching his fucking toes. Because I'm at war right now. And my war is against shit like that. So I'm not trying to appease anybody and play no fucking not trying to play make you feel good politics. If I talk to somebody and they got a long Hawaiian weave with some snuffleupagus lashes with a bubble, and I ask you to produce baby pictures and you refuse, right. You understand? You're gonna have a problem. We're gonna have a problem. Why are people in places where they know men are looking for women and they not women?
Right.
Like, that's a problem.
And nobody want to talk about that.
You were invading. You
don't want to be who you want to be, or you don't want to be who you have been formatted, right, and given birth in this planet to become. And they said that trans orientation is not, or trans designation is not based on sexual orientation. So they said that the doctor is not in his rightful place to say that the baby that's born is either male or female based on genitalia.
You hate that shit?
Right?
Come on, bro.
So you're saying that, if for whatever reason you don't want to be who you were born in your body to be, you want to be opposite of that, and you assume that identity, then you take that assumed identity into venues in which what they call cis men, right, heterosexual men who were born in that particular gender orientation, are in the waters fishing for the opposite sex, and they so happen to snag you. You dig what I'm saying? That's duplicit. You're doing something that's not upstanding. You playing the game dirty. And in the fact that something dirty can happen to you in an atmosphere like that, you feel me? You don't understand at that point, right? Now you crying foul. I don't get that. I don't get that. There should be, if there's something that should be understood, then there should be a level of, look, identify yourself. This is all about identity politics at the end of the day. This is about identity politics when it comes down to this quote unquote racial category, when it comes down to status, and now when it comes down to sex and gender. This all is dealing with identity politics. You feel me? So
Let
I
me
mean,
add something in the mix, man, because we jumped ahead of ourselves and we didn't address the second 9/11 catalyst. And the second 9/11 catalyst had a profound effect on our culture. And I would say, if we're going to give a proper timeline as to the downward spiral of what we knew, not what we know, but what we knew as the divine masculine. All right, because all of a sudden that shit went out the window. Everybody running with divine feminine, but it's a crime. It's almost become a thought crime to propagate divine masculinity. Well, let's talk about the battle between 50 Cent and Kanye West and the implications that that had on the culture. And the culture that we're talking about is the hip hop culture. And the hip hop culture that we're talking about is the most dominant culture around the globe. And the most dominant culture that we're talking about around the globe is a culture that propagates the divine feminine, the divine feminine and the divine masculine from the standpoint or from the vantage point of the quote unquote ADOS, or the American descendant of the slave, or translation, nigga culture, African American culture, which is the most dominant culture on the globe. It's not reggae, it's not dance hall, okay? We ain't out here daggering, you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, it ain't Afrobeat.
It ain't Afrobeat.
Sorry.
You know what I'm talking about? It's not that. It is hip hop. It's not rock and roll. It's not Backstreet. It's not pop. You know, it's not boy bands. You know, it's not K-pop. All right. Regardless of how popular these subgenres are, it's not electric music. Regardless of how lit they are in Ibiza or whatever, from the years of from the years of 2000s, okay, we would say from the late 90s. Shout out to Choke No Joke in the tunnel era, where hip hop began to rise in its quote unquote stature and rise in its overall arc and reach. This happened during the Bad Boy era, and it subsequently spilled over into the Rockefeller era, and then it came, and then it expanded regionally into the dynasty of the No Limit dynasty, and then you had the Cash Money dynasty, and then you had the Death Row dynasty. All of these different dynasties and these different eras helped push hip hop into mainstream American culture, and then it subsequently took it over. Now, in order for it to take over, it went through multiple changes and it went through multiple metamorphoses. One of the most significant metamorphoses of the culture happened as a result of a challenge that took place in the culture that was intricately tied to the 9/11 hip hop ritual that Blue Pill pointed out that you saw take place between Jay-Z and Nas on 9/11, with which, if you're a millennial, or if you're not if you're not 80s babies, or you're not from the 70s and 60s, you may not have a proper context as to what it is that we're going to be talking about. So we're going to walk you through this slowly and break it down, and we will encourage you to refer to reliable sources afterwards so you could fact check what's being said, because this is not on BET. You know, people are going to be like, but I never heard Charlemagne talk about this, or you know, this wasn't in Hidden Colors, or this, you know, because everybody has these reference points, because we don't have any more Encyclopedia Britannicas. You know, if it ain't on Google, or if it's not in certain kind of, you know, people's material, they don't think that it happened. But the shit happened. And the Jay-Z, like Blue Pill said, there was a lyrical battle, but that lyrical battle was bigger than the lyrical battle. It was a battle of of lifestyles. It was a battle of follow
Battle
the lead,
for who's gonna be the head of nigga
the
kingdom,
Godhead.
because there was a vacuum that was created after the first twin towers of hip hop were demolished. So before the towers of World Trade Center fell, Biggie and Pac fell, right? 6 months apart, just like how you seen them two towers, one fell, and the other one got hit, then the other one got hit after it, one fell, then the other one fell after it. In
Later
hip
on,
hop, it was the same thing. One of them died 6 months to the day, damn near. The next one died. So there was a vacuum that was created after their deaths. A lot of people fell into that space. This is when Eminem popped up. This is when Master P popped up right after that. This is when Cash Money rose to prominence. A lot of people
yes.
were attempting. This is when DMX came.
Well, in New
So,
York, it
but in
was
New York
DMX
in
and
particular, yeah,
Jay-Z in
there
particular.
was the fight for that throne, and whoever's the head of that seat or that throne, because Big occupied a lofty title called the King of New York, that was at the time considered like the king of hip hop. Whoever sat on that throne was the king of nigger kingdom.
That's a fact.
That person got to dictate the way the culture will ultimately move and sway.
That's a
Okay.
fact. There were billions of dollars that were as a result of that. There was marketing dollars. You're talking about endorsements. You're talking about all of these commercial capital brands like liquor
Right.
brands,
In case
sneaker
in
brands.
point, yeah, you see the effectiveness of it, because when the first towers fell, the people who was responsible or who were considered responsible for offing the king, they got to ultimately pass to New York. So that's where the Crips and the Bloods came from. You know what I'm saying? They knocked the king off. And then the city acquiesced and adopted that lifestyle rather than banging on it. Niggas ain't lift a finger. They put the flags on.
They fold, yeah.
It
They
started with Junior Mafia.
I rely on Bed-Stuy to shut it
Shut
down
it
if I
down if I died. Them niggas came back with blue bandanas. Facts.
And now we see later on with the confessions of on Vlad TV with the confessions of Keefy D. And then I saw months ago when they were doing, I forgot the name of is a YouTube channel, but they were talking about the Vaughn Zip story. And the Vaughn Zip story spelled out how Biggie got killed. So both of these killings of the kings of hip hop, all gang related, has nothing to do with the, you know what I mean? Like you could get rid of the federal conspiracies and niggas is in Cuba. No, nigga, Baby Lane and Keefy D knocked off Tupac. And Big got knocked off as well by active members. And then New York start waving flags after that.
Facts.
Fuck you
Continue,
talking
please.
about.
All right.
So the challenge that was being posed in 2007 on 9/11
Facts.
was a sales challenge. 50 Cent coming off of his 2003 debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying, right, was seen as one of the biggest artists in the world. His impact
On the planet, right.
on the planet, his impact, the aesthetics that he brought to hip hop. He was restoring the quote unquote gangster etiquette or the gangster aesthetic. Jay-Z at that time, Cash, wait, what is it? Cat, hold, Cash, hold. He's basically materialistic. He's the Willie. He's money cash hoes, big pimping, big dollars, big Willie, right?
He is the continuation in the vein of what Big and Puff brought materialism into the game, right? They were the first six guards, because six guard is dealing with materialism. That's dealing with the cross. You know what I'm saying? Big introduced the Jesus piece. He brought Roman Catholicism into hip hop. Both of them boys was Roman Catholic students.
That's right.
Biggie
Once
and Puff.
again, once again, tools of the Roman Catholic Church. We talked about this before with Mugabe and a few other people. They turn out some. they
They got a lineup.
They got a fucking lineup, and niggas, they let niggas operate in cruise control after they get you for about 7 to 10 years. They got you.
Like Jesuit training, yeah.
That's why everybody gets up there who's basically selling poison to the people. And what the first thing they do when they get their award, they thank Jesus. Because they out there pushing that nigga's curse for him. But anyway, they were having friction at that time. I'm talking about Puffy and Big with the Wu-Tang Clan. The Wu-Tang Clan would be the last vestige of that Islamic strain that was in hip hop that was reigning supreme during the ages of, shout out to Big Daddy Kane's, whose birthday is today, during the age of the 80s.
On the 10th, I believe.
The 10th, King Asiatic, Nobody's Equal.
Yeah, shout out to Kane.
Yeah, KRS-One, knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everyone. These are students of Malachi Z. York. These are students of Father Allah. These are students of Farrakhan. These are students of our good brother Khalid Muhammad. This is when Ice Cube is militant. Ice Cube drops out of NWA. He gets up with the Bomb Squad. He comes to New York. He puts out 2 or 3 of his best albums and pieces of his projects to this day. You understand? America's Most Wanted, Kill at Will, Death Certificate. These are laced heavily with what is known as, you are now witnessing the power of street knowledge. These are street knowledge albums. It's not about, he ain't trying to convert you to Islam. These are street knowledge, but it's laced, it's layered with the rhetoric and the teachings of these scholars. So when these artists were influenced by this Islamic strain, the 5.
Yeah, that five God as opposed to that 6 God.
Banging the 5. You saw a difference in hip hop. You saw the Black women being respected. Okay, she was the lexicon of queen and goddess and things of that nature were being interwoven into lyrics. You know, niggas was still talking about knocking boots and whatnot, but it wasn't to the degree of what happened when Snoop and them came on the scene. And then they were also being very aggressive in their lyrics and their lyrical content towards what they called the devil. So there was friction going on between the gods out of Staten Island. If anybody's watching the series and whatnot, I haven't caught it yet, but I'm going to catch up to it. And the gods out of Staten Island and BK, right? And you had the bad boy, the Puffy and whatnot, they were always questioning him for his sexuality. And they were just saying that he was too moist and he was a tool. This is what Pac said. This is what Suge was saying. And this is what other people were saying, that he's dangerous and he's a tool and he does not love the culture. He don't even love himself like that. So fast forward, later on down the line, you have 50 Cent emerge. 50 Cent puts all of these niggas under pressure. He starts clapping at dudes lyrically and whatnot. He's isolating himself from the rest of the industry with the whole thing with him and Eminem and Dre, and now he got G Unit. So New York was on smash. This is his freshman album in 03. By time 07 comes around, that is kind of watered down.
And let me preference this, right? 50 Cent shares the same birthday as George Bush. 50 Cent's album was the energy, right? It was the battery that they utilized to go into Iraq, because when he was in control of Nigga Kingdom, everyone, because he came out with his regimented military energy, cadence, G Unit, what? All of that is that's March Step.
Left
kind
foot,
of
left.
terraform society to be in a militant marching mindset, and the black violence that he represented, the Black Death, was exactly the energy that they needed to somewhat shift the consciousness and go into Iraq. Please go ahead. And like I said, he shares the same born day as George W.
Yes. So around this same time,
July 6th, I believe, they cancers.
yes, there's a heavy influence. Now fast forward to 07, you have an upstart out of Chicago, goes by the name of Kanye West, who's on his sophomore album, I believe.
I don't think it was the sophomore, it was the third one, because the sophomore was when he was standing in the middle of them doors.
Okay.
I think this was
so this graduation.
This might have been graduation with the Japanese artwork on the front. Yeah.
Okay. So if the people, family in the chat room, if I'm incorrect, just work with me. So also keep in mind that on the heels of and coming out of the South, you have a huge movement. BMF has already made their marks. Jeezy, Ross, and a few other people are now staples in the game, and the music has now shifted to focus on the trap rapper, okay? Because we've heard about the trap rapper before with T.I. and other things, but it was never attached to an authentic movement that people could be like, yo, I saw that shit in real fucking life. It was magical. It was some magical nigga shit. If anybody ever saw the BMF motorcade, or if anybody was in any city when BMF came through and did what it is that they, they basically came through and turned up. They were the ones who reinvented or reinvigorated or repurposed the turn up. Prior to that, it was popping a few bottles, standing on couches, you know what I'm talking about, flossing a little bit. They sprinkle fentanyl on that thing right there, and they turn it into something completely different. So a lot of the thug shit was not necessarily being played out, but that dusty nigga shit was taking a back seat to the trap rap. Niggas is heavily iced out, wet. They were the ones who introduced Make It Rain. BMF was the ones who popularized and basically certified going in the club and blowing money fast. All right. I'm sure y'all will be able to see the series when it comes out on Stars, maybe this year, or next year, whatever, 50 years behind it. You'll see what I'm talking about. But Big Meech and all of them, Blue Da Vinci, Ill, Bo, the whole crew, they went on a global they went on nationwide campaigns and basically terraformed strip club. They brought strip club culture into every single region that they brought it out of Atlanta, where it was normalized, and they exported it to New York, exported it. They shot they gave Miami a shot in the arm with diamonds, and then become diamonds. What happened?
I said,
Yeah. So where 50 Cent represented wasn't necessarily, hood niggas getting money. Okay. He just represented, the aesthetic of the New York stick-up kid or the gang banger and the thug. Right?
The goon, right.
The goon.
Gorilla, right.
Now, the newer generation that was coming up, right, whose older brothers, fathers were missing, older brothers were dead, uncles locked up, daddies locked up. They were the children or the offspring of the individuals who got caught up in that thug, hip, the goon era. They were rebelling against shit like that. They were not necessarily conforming and embracing, that kind of, yo, we gonna wear baggy jeans. You know what I'm saying? We wearing, you know, we rocking the G Unit tank top. You know, we out here with the hat over, with the brim over our eyes. You know, and we just out here taking penitentiary chances and selling crack. Many of them begin to look for a different outlet. And one of the artists who gave them an opportunity to express themselves in a whole nother way, in a whole nother frequency, in a whole nother manner was Mr. Kanye West himself. Okay, Mr. Polo T with the Louis Vuitton backpack, you know what I'm talking about? With the, you know, with the jeans that were a little tighter than what people were used to seeing, with the pink polo and whatnot. And I was like, wow, this is something new. You know, he's representing getting fly and talking greasy to the women. And we don't necessarily have to pick a struggle when it comes to him, because it seems like he's doing this and he's enjoying himself. He's not taking penitentiary chances. This nigga said Jesus walks. You know what I'm talking about? You know, he's, you know, he's on MTV. He's shining. There was an interview. There was a culture shifting interview. It was on MTV, and it was between Kanye and I believe it was Sway. Was it Sway when he talked about he was accused of being gay in Chicago?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he had an interview. It was almost like a coming out party, but it was an interview that he did. It was a sit down interview, and he had his sweater tied around his neck or some shit, or around his waist, you know, really setting the motherfucking mood. And he was speaking about the fact that he's been bullied before for the, you know, and in high school and whatnot, he was called gay and he was called a homosexual, and people did not understand him. But the fact that he was different, he was treated as an outcast. But keep in mind, he's not speaking about this from an unsigned artist point of view. He's not telling this to Sway from a starring artist point of view. This nigga's on top at this point. He's talking to Sway as a victor. So he's saying that I overcame these things, and I overcame all of the ridicule, and I overcame, you know, these goons and these bullies and these thugs and these, you know, these hyper masculine types who are trying to identify me. If I don't fit in with them, they're trying to ostracize and outcast me. And in that interview, he solidified himself as the champion and the poster child for the weird niggas. Okay. And I'm not saying that's necessarily what a weird nigga is, but I'm giving you the conception. I'm painting the concept of what the mind state of our people were at that time. So, and keep in mind, he's backed by the biggest artist at that time. And at that time, that artist is not talking about, this artist is not a social justice warrior. This artist is still wearing a do-rag. This artist is still slinging bricks on track. We're talking about Jay-Z. He's still a dope rapper. And Dame is still pouring bubbly on broads. You know what I'm talking about? Dame is still Dame, and Jay is still Jay, and Biggs is still Biggs at this point. There's no Rock Nation. This is Rockefeller.
Facts.
Jay is heavy in the P's. He's heavy in the streets. He's heavy down south. He signed Jeezy. He signs Rick Ross. He signs them and brings them into the fold. So his signature on Jeezy and BMF was like a stamp. It was almost like a coronation.
Right.
Okay. So now
he brought in Benny and them.
Say it again.
I said the same way that he brought in Benny the Butcher.
Yeah, Griselda. How he just stamped Griselda with Benny the Butcher and all of them. He solidified, he legitimized the BMF era by signing Jeezy and bringing in Meech. But right after that, that's when the boys had to swoop in and snatch Meech up, because that was a power play. That is too much power at that point. And they left Jeezy. They didn't touch as you see, we're gonna take the drug dealers, we're gonna take Shotty and them off the streets, right? Because they do this all the time. We're gonna take Rod Diggs off the streets. We're gonna take Rowdy Rebel off the streets, and we'll leave them other niggas to poison the youth. They didn't take Jeezy. They let him keep doing the music. They let him keep pushing the info. They let him keep pushing the culture. But they took the people who was the masterminds, the people who could really sit in rooms and get on some black mafia shit and really start plotting and making big moves because they had big money. Now you got to go. And if you read the transcripts on Shotty's case with Treyway, if you read the transcripts on Rod Diggs, who they gave 3 life terms to, if you read the transcripts on Rowdy Rebel in them with the wire taps that they had, all of them was on some militant street shit. There's a audio with Big Meech behind the feds, and Cavario is interviewing him. And when you listen to his, shout out to Cavario, when you listen to Meech's mind state, you understand that he wasn't a regular hustler. But anyway, let's go. So Kanye has Jay-Z's back. And now if anybody knows the friction between Jay-Z and 50, it's legendary, and it's already been, that remember the Reebok shit that they had to do together and go on tour?
Yeah.
That's because when 50 dropped, the date when 50 was on the King, they were fighting for King of New York when 50 came out with Get Rich or Die Trying. You know what I'm talking about? But he never took the shot. So it was almost like an olive branch when Jay and him went and did that tour.
Right.
But there was always that struggle. There was always, and that's how Jay plays it. Like he'll put niggas in front of you. That's the shit. Him and Drake.
The shit he going through with Drake now, where he's positioning Meek to neutralize.
That's right. You know what I mean? That's what it was Kanye for 1 minute.
Yeah. He gonna whoever he could throw in front, to see how it works, and he's gonna replace him.
It's chess. The king won't jump out and attack the other. You know what I mean? He's gonna send the rook. He's gonna send the bishop. Some Benny Blanco shit. But anyway, so now we have Kanye and 50 Cent agreeing to a battle that will culminate on 9/11. It's a sales battle to see whose album is going to sell #1. The agreement that was made was, if you outsell me, I won't rap anymore. That's what 50 Cent told Kanye. If you beat me, right, I won't even rap no more, my nigga. You got it. So automatically, more than just a sales challenge, this became a challenge of a culture, because whoever was to win this battle, whoever was to sell the most, like Blue Pill said, the people vote with their dollars. So it's not the people that were necessarily looking at this. It was the industry. It was the corporations. It was the people who would come with the billions. It was the LBGT. It was all of these people who were waiting.
Right. Because Kanye, let me preference. Kanye also was the first one who went to bat for the LGBT. Not only did he do that interview with Sway, he personalized it and said, look, I got a cousin that's gay, and I don't like how hip hop deals with its relationship, to gay America, to gay people. So he championed, he became vocal at a time in which no one else really took that stance. That was the first thing that he was championed for in regards to speaking up and being vocal for, was his stance and his commitment to that particular community. Continue.
And as we can see, it was it was a few millions of people in the shadows who hadn't identified themselves as of yet, sitting back saying, okay, what's this about? And the battle went down, and Kanye came out on top.
Right. It was a 9/11 battle.
It was a 9/11 battle They even had a staged face-off
on
on
Rolling
Rolling Stone's
Stone
cover.
Right.
Now, a video leaked later on because at that time, I remember the mood. I remember how the family felt. Nigga, we thought it was war. This is when 50, remember, this is not necessarily, we're not that deep into social media at this point. So how people see artists now is not how artists were seen at that point. They were off limits. You were basically, you received the news once a month through the Source magazine, Double XL Vibe, and things of that. It wasn't on a daily basis. It wasn't on a minute by minute basis. You understand? All of the information was contrived.
Right.
It was,
you seen them niggas on TRL. You see them at their shows, right? Or Lord forbid if they made the news. Outside of that, you was not seeing these niggas.
so there were a lot of semantics that could take place in the industry, and they were able to manipulate a lot of things, and the unsuspecting public had no idea. Well, you had to be in the clubs with these niggas. You had to be behind us. You had to be in the studios. You had to be locked in to some kind of clique to understand what was going on behind the scenes. So people thought that they really had beef because 50 still had a level of fear. He still had this mysterious air about him to where niggas really thought he was with the shits. Now this is a nigga that got shot 9 times. This is the time that we're talking about when the guy nigga, not the shooter, you know what I'm talking about? They don't respect the shooter anymore. They respect the nigga that got shot. You understand? So when a dude gets shot, he become tough. Nobody talks about Homo, rest in peace. The nigga that shot him.
Rest in peace to Homo.
They talk about 50 because he survived 9 shots. So there's still this type of fear, and there's still this guerrilla unit type of, aesthetics that he has in hip hop, to where people are like, yo, he means business. He's not to play with. He's a gorilla. So then a video leak where these niggas was behind the scenes laughing and whatnot. And that wasn't seen before. Nobody necessarily saw 50 joking with nobody. But this was after he lost the war. So after he loses this battle, this is when the cultural, people think it's about rap music. It's not about rap music. It's bigger than rap music, because I got all of these people talking about, no, Lil Wayne is the one who ushered in the weirdness. Lil Wayne brought in skateboarding. Nigga, Lil Wayne got comfortable coming out the closet because of that shit right there. What are you talking about? A lot of these dudes who are wearing jeggings now, who are wearing chandelier earrings like Little B and whatnot, they would never had did that if 50 Cent had won that cultural, quote unquote, standoff.
Showdown. Right. They call it the 911 showdown.
The 911 showdown. If he were to become victorious in that, they would have continued to steer the culture in the direction that it was already being steered in. Hypermasculinity, gang culture, thug culture, goon culture, trap culture. All the niggas would have been wearing baggy clothes still. You know what I'm talking about? all of that Malik
right.
yoga shit.
Because not to cut your bill, but what you're saying is a key point, and I've pointed this out numerous times, that when we talk about epochs and eras in hip hop and the things that were paradigm shifting, you can't speak on that without including fashion. Fashion should deserve its own documentary in hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
It will get it. It will receive it.
The different nuances that fashion express as it changed from the whoever was in charge of Nigga Kingdom from time memorial. The fashion changed with the person who sat in that throne, who had the influence over the culture. So once Kanye was positioned as on the top of Nigga Kingdom, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you started what? you started seeing niggas wear the Care Bears. Like the shit turned to, you know, a Rainbow Hill. Like it was just different. Marshmallow Hill with the rainbows over it. Niggas had the Care Bears and all of that.
I mean,
Teletubbies
because
shit.
they was doing Babester prior, right? Wayne was on Babester. Wayne took the rock and roll aesthetics. Wayne took the quote unquote aesthetic nihilism and he merged it with hip hop. This is even before the 2007 thing, right? Full body tats, you know what I'm saying? Head to toe, the whole, you know, the skateboard thing did not necessarily become a part of what it is. That nigga went full skateboard after that. He went truck fit after that. He threw away the Babester shit and got on the truck fit. He dyed his locks. He threw the lean cup or whatever. He came out of his proverbial closet after that. And because he had a grip on the millennials from goddamn 2002, from when he was doing Squad Up and all of that, and Carter One and all of that stuff, yeah, niggas followed that. They were impressionable. The whole thing with him kissing Baby on BET, that shit was covered up. He did it, yeah, but it wasn't accepted. So it wasn't even, nigga.
It got swept.
It got swept.
It was before its time.
You think niggas didn't see him kiss that nigga? It got swept. It got swept. Nobody didn't even talk about it. It just got swept. Niggas was like, nah, I ain't see that. And kept it moving. And a few, you know, and it got accepted later though. When Gilly blew it up and started leaking and all of that stuff, yeah, but that shit got swept under the rug. Because Baby and them still had a level of goon aesthetic, thug aesthetic. They still had a level of mystique. Niggas was actually scared to say something. If you want to keep the buck. There was a fear factor that nobody could say anything, bro. So things begin to change after that. Pharrell begins to move forward into the culture. You know, he's already in the culture, but his style begins. Huh?
Moves to the forefront.
He moves to the forefront. Everything Kanye has a flow chart. Kanye is Revenge of the Nerds. Kanye has a flow chart of different people who he's affiliated with. He comes in holding Talib, M1, Dead President, all of them hand, right? He helped bridges them with Jay-Z and them. That was unheard of at that time with the Get By remix. That was unheard of. Nobody would ever think that you would hear Jay-Z and Dead Prez together. That was a cultural shift in and of itself. Okay? But then you have the Kanye clones, right? Then you have the Wiz Khalifas begin to emerge. Because Wiz Khalifa didn't come out. And I'm not saying Wiz Khalifa's on some weird shit and whatnot. But nigga, Wiz Khalifa wears jeggings. You know what I'm saying?
He was on his rock shit wearing jeggings. And then
he come out on the rock shit.
He brought the super jegging nigga out. What's that nigga name?
Chevy Wood. What is it?
Nah, not Chevy Woods. I'm talking about when Kanye brought Kid Cudi out. You know,
okay.
Cudi shit was painted on. Yeah.
Now that's emo rap, right?
Yeah. I'm saying he had his shit was fitted. You ain't see nigga with fitteds until like Cudi has different level fitteds.
Yeah.
Lil Wayne and them had jeggings, granted, but son had, you know, he had form-fitting jeans on when Cudi came out. and that introduced the emo rap. You know, Son was a fiend. Like,
Yeah. So the aesthetics of emo rap is niggas abusing, you know, hard drugs, not drinking coffee, not niggas with caffeine addictions, you know what I'm saying? Not chain smokers, you know. We're talking about
now you see the shift, family, from the hustler to the nigga that's the customer.
the
Right?
customers now.
This is the old shift that starts coming in, right? When you're compromising an aesthetic that might be purely nigga, right? Because the shit the G Unit was advocating, it was hyper to the degree that, yeah, he might have had, you know, like police security and military influence and shit like that, but you didn't really see that influence when Ye, you know, kind of edged them out. He brings in the niggas who was listening to Nine Inch Nails when they was growing up.
Yes.
These
Yes.
niggas is influenced by the white boys that want to incorporate whiteness into their aesthetic.
Yes.
You feel me?
Indeed.
They don't have no security. You know what I'm saying? But they bringing something else into the game. And then that shit had become a mainstay. So even now, when you look at all the niggas that's doped out and what have you, you know, and stoned and they fiend out in hip hop, Cuddy is all of these niggas was like, woo, what? Cuddy is they champion. You feel me?
Yep. Yep. That's their OG.
I say OG. Later on, y'all might have caught on the Wayne got a habit with them cups. Or Wayne is on these pills and such and such. But Wayne has an interesting aesthetic because he's kind of the merger. He's kind of, you know, he's spiked, you know, he spiked to Kanye's Gizmo. But
Mm-hmm.
he has both worlds merged. He got 50 world merged and he got Ye world merged. You understand? He's a conglomeration of both of them energies. He could
Because
play
remember,
both
he was a
fields.
Jay-Z clone in the beginning. Remember that? Then he
Yeah.
was a Dipset clone.
Yeah, then you get Tyler and the rest of them to come after that. Give the whole, you know, give some
Yeah,
of the
Tyler.
timeline.
Well, Tyler comes after Little B. Okay, Little B, Tyler comes with Goblin. This is around 2011. Okay, so the aesthetics that Tyler and all of them bring to the game is the youth culture who hates their fathers. Okay, the father's not in the home. Earl Sweatshirt, Tyler the Creator, Little B. Now these are ambiguous
Frank
artists.
Ocean.
Well, Frank comes. I'm not gonna put Frank out there as of yet because when Tyler comes, you know, Tyler the Creator, and then Odd Future comes with him. You know, Frank Ocean is a little while after that because they're
Frank
introduced.
Ocean came with our future, nigga. What are you talking about?
I understand, but the
Novocaine.
whole listen, the whole Frank Ocean wave,
All
like
right.
Tyler and Earl Sweatshirt had a fucking wave. Frank Ocean was not in that wave in the beginning. It was Damo Genesis, you know, like they were focusing on shit like that. You know, on the East Coast, you got ASAP, you got Pro Era, you know, you have, and all of these are Kanye's children. ASAP with the fashion, you know what I mean? I'm not saying necessarily with the lyrics, I'm talking about the aesthetics. But more so, the father of all them niggas will be, and they're not gonna admit it, will be Little B from the Bay, from the Pack. Now, Little B comes out with an album called, intentively titled, I'm Gay. That's what Little B said. You gotta be clear, because niggas will soundbite me. And and he's basically trolling. He's the first Young Thug, right? He's trolling.
Facts.
He's like, I'm just saying I'm happy. You know what I mean? You know, then Kanye also brings in that aesthetic with Amber Rose, with the white girl shit. You know what I'm saying? Because prior to that, other than Ice-T and Coco, I mean, who else at a high profile was bringing in Pink Toes as the Wiz? It wasn't saying niggas wasn't knocking them down, but they wasn't being claimed and lost and found. Who was claiming them?
Who was claiming them?
Who was claiming their Beckys and wifing them and red carpeting and, you know, I'm talking about who was running around with a Becky on their arm saying this is my Wiz. Before, you know, who was more high profile than Amber Rose and Kanye when he was running, parading her around? I can't really necessarily recall too many, you know. So all of these younger artists who are expressing their father issues, the fact that they didn't have dad there, and as a fact of dad's not being, they don't give a fuck dad, you know what I mean? We doing this shit, we're making our own way, we're creating our own motherfucking wave, we're making, you know, we're making our own, we're carving our own lane. And then you have Chief Keef come in 2012, right? And he brings a whole new aesthetic to the game. You know what I'm talking about? He's not on no Kanye shit. He's the opposite. This is drill music. This is kill music. This is slide music. This is bang bang, gang gang. But the aesthetics that they share is that they're a mixture. They get swept up. But this is a Chicago artist, so them niggas is wearing all designer, but the shit is tight. And they're more so like Weezy clones in a sense.
Facts. With the
because it's a Weezy look.
Yeah.
You know, it's a Weezy look. And it's not necessarily a Weezy sound, but we're talking aesthetics. We're not talking, like I said, don't get caught up in trying to find out who sounds like each other, who's rapping like each other. And keep in mind, Travis Scott is ghostwriting at this time for Kanye West.
Kanye West, right.
Okay, he brings that sound that you hear now with that you can identify as Travis Scott sound. That's the sound that he's bringing. Does he come in on 808 or something?
I know him from the Yeezus album. He did New Slave and all of that material.
Yeah,
that was Travis Scott. From the era that I'm familiar with, he could have been before that, but I don't think all the way back to 808. I don't know. 808, around that time now, he starts playing. This is when he starts going for Drake. After 808, right? He wants to now say, "Oh, okay, who's this new dude? Let's not leave that out of the equation."
You sure that wasn't around the time of Twisted Fantasy? Because remember, Nicki Minaj has Monster. She emerges. That's like her debut. That's like her breakout her breakout verse on Monsters.
Wait,
right?
I'm saying, but Twisted Fantasy came after 808, correct?
Yeah.
808. I didn't say on 808 is when he started reaching out for Drake. I said after 808, whatever the next project was.
Oh yeah, that's Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah, that's when he pulled Son in, because when I met Drake, he was with Kanye and Amber Rose. I had met them at a club, and I was doing I was on my reporter shit. And that was, Amber Rose became the muse for Dark Twisted Fantasy. Yeah,
that's a fact. So this is the shift that we begin to see in the culture. 50 Cent falls into obscurity. Curtis.
Right. He got Cameron on his helmet. Pause.
He got Cameron on his back. He falls into obscurity. The internet saves him. You know what I'm saying? Twitter, for that matter. He starts trolling online There's no Power series. There's no album selling. You know what I'm talking about? There's no G-Unit reunions. Like, he's not hot anymore.
Yeah, Pimpin' Curly. Fact.
And Rick Ross is at war.
Yeah. Ross is on his helmet. Pause.
Yes.
He getting washed by Officer Ricky. Yeah. Like, Major L's. Yeah.
So clearly, just
Lost
that in
power.
it of itself is showing you that would have never happened to 50 Cent. If they saw something, they saw a chink in the armor and they attacked. You got to understand how New Yorkers move. If they see that, they ain't gonna hit you while you got full armor on. The minute they see a chink, Jay-Z, his kinks have been exposed. It's just that nobody got balls enough to get on the I'm So Brooklyn remix and finish that nigga. His armor, the chinks in his armor are fully exposed. It's just nobody in New York is either thirsty enough, brave enough, or lyrical enough to put that nigga in a plate in a shallow grave where he could get put right now. Because the only verse you got to just say is, you so Brooklyn that your mama told you to fuck the police even with your daddy not there. And he's done. So 50 begins to get hit on different, he niggas, what happened with him and Game had fell out before the challenge, right? If I'm clear.
Yeah, I'm not clear, but
Yeah, it is clear because I came to New York in 2005, remember? And that's when they had the press conference that same year when him and Game fell out. So him and Game have fell out before that. But G-Unit is not G-Unit afterwards. You know, their star is not rising. That nigga's sun is setting after the challenge. Kanye West's sun is rising. Jay-Z is now, but Jay-Z is trying to take pictures with Ye. Jay-Z is doing music with Ye. Jay-Z is buddied up with Ye. You know what I mean? Remember that's Big Brother. That's huge for him. This is Revenge of the Nerds. He's giving life. He's snatching wigs. He's snatching toupees, nigga. He's giving niggas life who would have never had life in the culture. He's giving them heart. He's giving them a way. He's making niggas come into their true self and feel comfortable wearing pink polos with chancletas and things like that. They didn't have that kind of they didn't have that kind of impetus before. They didn't have a hero. They didn't have nothing to hold on to. So there was a lot of people out here playing the part that it was not necessarily for them, only to fit into the culture, because back in those days, it would almost be career suicide to stand out. You were not accepted. He brought a level of acceptance. He opened up a level to the doors, but unfortunately, that was putting Black masculinity or the divine masculinity was being watered down. Okay. There was no one necessarily there to interpret it the way that it needed to be interpreted. That it was a free for all at some point where there was no rules. The rules began to erode. The quote unquote, it's almost like being in a communist society. Even though it's a motherfucking iron fist with no velvet glove, there's order. Even though there's some dictatorship taking place, it's still order, and shit don't be falling out of place. The minute they take the dictator out, or the minute they put a velvet glove on that iron fist and fall back, and the strongmen's are removed, shit start going crazy. You've seen it on Gangland when they take the head of the snake off, or when they take the leaders, or when they take the strongmen out of the organizations and they let the young pups run wild. What happened in Chicago? What happened in Detroit? What happened in Philadelphia when they took all of the heads of these street organizations who were the strong men? When the Fed swept them and they let the young rambunctious ones run wild who weren't fully developed, right? who just hopped off the porch. They don't have discipline. They don't have a purpose. They don't have a plan. And they don't have leadership. And that's what you began to see in hip hop. Anybody could do anything, say anything, wear anything, or whatever. Bubba Sparks. I mean, come on. So that was very important on that day or that battle, because the culture was forever shifted. The paradigm that we knew was forever shifted. And keep in mind, the powers that be behind the scenes, they accelerate the shift. 106 in Park, Viacom, Universal, Seagrams, all of these label heads.
And allegedly, this was a sacred day in America. Now, we talking, this shit took place in 2007. It was only 6 years removed from the towers. In corporate America, because it was on the cover of 9/11, corporate America already had their marketing machine behind rappers promoting it as the Battle of the Twin Towers. I thought this was a sacred day.
Yeah, they already commercialized.
Yeah, motherfucker. Yeah, you got people in overseas at war, right, to defend the dignity of this country on that sacred day. You're not even supposed to touch that day as a marketing scheme. Yes. And they had that shit fully served up as a marketing scheme. And like I'm saying, that was Rockefeller Records. Rockefeller Records, had already got pulled in 2001 from the mayor. This is how Son got his clearance to be on stage with Bloomberg and all of them. So he already had been acknowledged as someone who was a social justice warrior. And that all of that started after 9/11 with Jay-Z doing benefit concerts in New York for victims of 9/11. You understand? But those same corporate forces would turn around and allow this person to utilize that sacred day for a marketing campaign for an album release for his top artists. That's weird.
And when you go anywhere in ghetto America, hood America, you'll hear similar reports about real niggas is missing. And, it's just not the same anymore. And, those guys who were the goons that wore baggy clothes, and G-Unit tank tops, they're nowhere to be found anymore. Either them niggas are skateboarding with jeggings and they went full Caitlyn on us. They got jobs, and when the niggas is trucks. No offense.
Shout out to the truck drivers.
Shout out to the truck drivers, man. Yo, hit the horn for me real quick, y'all. All my truck drivers, hit the horn. Yeah.
Nagas.
But if you don't realize that hip hop is a spell casting divination system when utilized as such, it's not it every day. It's not it all the time, but it can be utilized as such, then you might not understand the esoteric properties of the power that this culture holds. But these corporate entities know these things, you understand? And they play to it. So I don't think that it's a coincidence that when the culture shifts, the people who don't make that jump begin to fucking disappear and eat. They get Thanos snapped, because I can't find remnants of that bygone era the way that I could find remnants of that new era that was ushered in. Them niggas is everywhere. You understand? But the people who, you like, where's my dude from, 07 at? Where's some from 06? You know what I'm saying? What's some with the bandana and the baldy at? It's no longer, it's no longer, it's gone.
Yeah. Finito.
It's finito. You know, it's been replaced. It's been metamorphed. That same dude now has full facial tats. You know, he might grew his shit out to long locks, and he got them bleached at the at the tips and whatnot. You know what I mean? And he's wearing a medium, and he weighs about 198. You know, and he got the shoes on that look like couches. You know, the big sneakers.
Yeah.
The shoes look like ottomans. Orthopedic ottomans.
Oh. I mean, yeah, like if nothing else, if you don't see the power of fashion and spell casting and hip hop, they got niggas wearing moon rock orthopedic shoes. Like, are you serious? The shits look like lugs with it's like a
Yeah, you remember when Hot
it's
Rod,
like a lug sketcher collabo. Like, come on, son. How you gonna pull that off? How you gonna pull a lug sketcher collabo off and throw a name brand on that shit? And it's $500 and better, $700, and niggas jacking that for real.
You remember the Transformer movie where Hot Rod turned into when a nigga caught the extra piece on his back? These niggas is wearing a sneaker version of that. Be like, really?
Really?
The fuck?
Trying to tell me that shit hot? For real?
I could tell the mentality of a woman if she walking with a nigga wearing those sneakers.
The Balenci's, like
the Balenci's look crazy, bro. You could have never got away with that.
Orthopedic moon boots. It's like they double for walking in. This shit is crazy, son. Like, I mean, I don't like they even say that the sneakers are orthopedic shoes.
It's like you said, it's a Skechers and Lugs collabo, my nigga. Like, they just went and combined the molds and came up with this motherfucker, these moon boots. And then in the winters, niggas wearing Uggs. So we're in a different place now, y'all. You know, we're in a different place. And like Blue Pill said, the culmination of that today was that interview on Hot Night on Breakfast Club where Malik Yogurt got up there with his transsexual all-stars, you know, who were offended that we was offended by their offensiveness. You know what I mean? And that is that was one of the worst interviews that I've ever seen in the history of New York radio, bro. It was a debacle. It was a debacle. You know, the shit that they're trying to prepare these children to accept, and they want to normalize because they said so. Because White Zaddy has given these people talking points and they've trained them.
Oh, they very interjected.
Yeah, they've interjected a lexicon, you know, because it's like they went into they didn't fit into this world. They went into that world. They went into the limelight, or they went into the cathedral. They went into this white world, this white dominated world of homosexuality. They went into Rome, right? And then Rome put them back into our society, you know, with this fake sense of entitlement. Because at the bottom of that is because of the way that these white gay men are treating these black men. Their entitlement comes from the fact that white Zach is
what I'm saying, like I said, if we scale our history from 2001 all the way up to 2019 with all of the incidents
that happened in between of bitchery, right? Who was going to respect the black man on some alpha male shit as the apex of his civilization? No, the ones who they're saying that are on top of that particular pile that now have the voice that can speak for you niggas have to be something that intersects with them. You understand? Because black male masculinity has taken a fucking, like, just Zimmerman still being around, just all of these responses. I'm talking about the repetitive, and I've been tracking this shit for you niggas for the longest to show you, look, this is how this shit happens. The step by step by step by step, you know, just knocking it down, level after level after level after level. And what are you left with? You're left with exactly how you look on a global stage. That's how you look. That audience that was lined up at Breakfast Club, that's how the black man looks globally.
It was a European up there too, right?
I don't know. It wasn't a European. It was what is it called? Latinx, Latino
Latin.
X. I don't know what the new designations are. I didn't get the memo. Like, is all of this shit in the census? Are these new designations that are going around with the census pack? I didn't get the memo.
Latin.
They got a new designation. It's shit called Latinx. So they and I'm saying, if that offends anyone, if you and your feelings about what I just said, take a step back and look at this shit. I could give you a litany of fucking charges, right? I could show you where the crimes took place. I could tell you what these blood moons was about. Step by step. You could be in denial all you want, but that's what that shit looks like at this particular time. Now, is there any concerted effort to reestablish, right, the imagery of black masculinity globally, let alone in our neighborhoods? We'll start with getting rid of the people that have that particular imagery under hostage. Niggas are still out here selling crack, B, in 2019. Like Calico said, nigga about to be 2020. You still selling crack? Come on now. Niggas have not sacrificed a drug dealer yet on some, or a pimp yet on some. This is what we're not having anymore for our daughters and the women. The failure to defend your daughters and your women have rendered you what? Useless.
Useless.
What use
they trying to figure out, like I said, like, so I'm just saying,
they're like, okay, we're a population that's not going to repopulate. You feel me?
Facts.
That's what you have to contend with, right? A concentration of power be in the hands of people who have no plans to propagate the species into the future. So you're looking at species terminus at this particular point. And people are going to tell us, oh, the percentages are so low that they don't qualify for that. You know, it only registers as 3 or 4% of the population. I'm like, my nigga, they're teaching your children at the age of 6 and 7. You feel me? Alternative lifestyles before they even get any inclination about sexual orientation. And they're telling you in the same breath, look, this shit don't have nothing to do with sexual orientation. Well, how will a child know whether it likes a girl or a boy, or feels like a girl or a boy, if it doesn't have any sense of sexual orientation?
Yo, that Skeeter that they was up there at the Breakfast Club with today, if you don't find that offensive, if you don't see that as a direct assault to your children,
and then direct assault. Then they said in the same interview, because you could dissect that interview and get your talking points. If this is where you feel that you need to be exerting your energy, right? Yeah.
This is
what you. If this is a fight that you feel that you need to be fighting, then you need to sit down and dissect that interview. Because in the same interview, they said that they said sexual orientation could be considered a political stance.
Of course.
Right? They said a political stance. Why the fuck are you teaching babies politics at the age of 6?
Unless
No.
you're orientating those children at the age of 6 to be your political force when they grow up into their early teens and they become what? Designated voters, which now makes them what? A marketable demographic, right? Or a demographic that will, you know what I'm saying? These are not the useless eaters. These are the ones that we need.
And like,
Everyone else is going to become marginalized.
that's right.
These are the children that are going to be growing up in 20 years with AI, singularity, computers, machines, androids, and all types of shit. They don't need the population. They don't need the population to propagate itself. They have big data.
Artificial
Everything's going to be
wombs.
automated.
Yeah,
They're
artificial.
already, artificially inseminated. They're already telling you, look, we've already figured out how to make you niggas in motherfucking you know, in control incubating systems. We don't need the womb anymore. We
That's a
don't
fact.
need you niggas. This is species terminus. This is it. We don't need you. Bye. If you can't see it, man, good luck, my niggas. You feel me? If you can't see, oh, where's this agenda coming from? Okay, well, Epstein just showed you the people at the very top, not of the totem pole of talks in terms of politics, the people at the very top of of of,
MIT.
of society. Fuck MIT. All of these are
Bill.
just facets of culture and society. We're talking the elites. You're talking if you want to go down to saying, oh, a particular amount of families control X, Y, and Z. Well, them niggas is fucking involved with pedophile rings, child trafficking, fucking, child sacrifice, eating babies and shit like that.
That's right.
Lord knows what else. So if the people who are in charge, who have the purse, because the same niggas just told me the cash rules. All right, well, the niggas that's worth 3 and 4 and $5 trillion, yeah, them the niggas that's calling the shots and making sure that society terraforms to wherever their motherfucking their ideas are or their agendas are for population control. I mean, this is not hard to see. Right? This is not hard to see. And the same person, they're gonna sit up there on TV and tell you, well, gender is not determined at birth because the doctor is just looking at genitalia.
What about the chromosomes?
Well, now the science is saying there's no gay gene. So
no, what about chromosomes determining gender?
Hey, look. I'm still trying to figure this shit out, bro. If they're saying that it's not a determination, right? People, they're offended as babies, right? They're offended as babies. That a doctor saw wee said that, oh, your birth certificate has to have a level of designation, right? Because what the baby's gonna say, I'm non-gender.
Nah, I know what the baby's gonna say when they smack it. How you doing?
Yeah. So the doctor got to make a determination at birth when they smack a baby ass and the baby cries and they turn them over and they're looking to see if the baby got, testes, you know what I'm saying, and a raisin. And they're like, that's a boy.
If they smack a boy baby on the ass and he look back and be like, do it again. They be like, oh nah, this nigga's a gender X. How you doing? Like, what the fuck going on in the world, bro?
Just stupid. So they're telling you what? They said transsexuality has nothing to do with genitalia, right?
That's a damn lie. Since when? I would have asked them. And what? And yo, Charlemagne and Envy are.
They said trans has nothing to do with genitalia, but at the same time, they said deception does not give anyone the right to commit murder. Now, murder is a stretch. You feel me?
It is.
Murder's a stretch, and we don't condone the killing of anyone, right?
We don't.
But we don't, right? But them niggas will put rifles in your hand, right? And they'll tell you the separation of church and state, and they're gonna send you to the front line, right? To defy the first commandment and the one that weighs heaviest in your religion. That says thou shalt not kill, unless there's some level of impeding on your safety or your family, right? Under the most egregious circumstances, what the Bible says, thou shalt not kill unless under the most egregious circumstances. But this country that tells you that there's a separation of church and state will enlist you in armed forces, put a rifle in your hands, and send you to the front line and tell you to kill for the love of country, of God and country, right? But there's a separation of church and state. So while we don't condone killing, you know what I'm saying? At the same time, what's the parameters that a person should know what their limits are if you're going into a relationship and not telling the person who you're engaged in that relationship with that you're not what that person has bargained for or is shopping for or looking for or in the mood for entertaining or opening their spirit, because they said this shit is not about genitalia, it's about spirituality.
Spirituality is breath.
Right? They said it's about spirituality. So how can you display someone's spiritual composition and the level of their mental homeostasis by pulling a fast one on them like that? Right? That can disorient or disrupt someone's entire equilibrium and throw them off and give them a level of mental stress where their hair fall out. You feel me? They're socially awkward after that. They don't come outside. All kind of shit can happen.
Because for Charlemagne to be a champion of Black mental health, he's coming out with books talking about mental health. Do you mean to tell me that if I were to push up on what I thought was a woman to come to find out that that's a man, that's not going to shatter my mental health, it's not going to affect my mental health one bit. My mental health could deteriorate to the point where I could basically go into a depression. I could become suicidal. Are you serious? And other men who have who have already may have issues with mental health, what if they were tricked by someone who was a transsexual and they were tricked into a sexual situation? Their mental health, they could snap.
Without being disrespectful, without being misunderstanding, right? Because everybody's favorite line is, I don't know, tell me, I don't know, educate me. What I'm saying is that what we're talking about at the end of the day is finessing. You know what I'm saying?
It's a finesse.
It's a finesse. It's a finesse. You're putting on a wig, you're assuming an identity to finesse something out of someone else that you're fetishing, right? But you have issues.
Straight like that.
You got issues. You're a man who's dressing like a woman who's still looking for penis. Like, come on.
In places where there are men dressed like men, they in accordance with God. They don't have God issues. They don't have.
So I mean, yeah, if it's not about genitalia and if it's not about allegedly sexuality, do they have celibate transgenders? You feel me? Why, like I said, why I've never seen a transgender librarian? You know what I'm saying? The orientation of them transforming into women is one in which they're expressing sexuality. There's a sexual nature to that transformation.
That's a fact.
You feel me? They don't motherfucking become that to look like Martha Stewart.
That's a fact.
They're not asexual when they become that. And just
they don't look like Pat. Remember Pat from Saturday Night Live?
Pat from Saturday Night Live. right? They put themselves in the market.
In the meat
Right?
market.
In the meat market for the dagger. Like niggas is looking the dagger. And they lined up for that. How you gonna line up for the daggering? Nastafallah. You know, anywhere else, off with your head. Come on now.
Fuck God.
All right, man. It's getting too late.
Yeah, man. I don't know where them cash apps at, y'all. Like, thank you everybody that's sending cash app, but
BMF it. Make it
make it rain, man. Like, my goodness.
So, you know, that's the 9/11 forecast, man, that cosmic egg has been cracked and masculinity has slowly seeped out of it. Why? Because there was no one assumed the position of leadership. No one assumed the position of picking up the mantle when all things fell apart. And all things fell apart on 9/11. This was the black man's perfect opportunity to step into a level of leadership and take his people, you know, or take the people, or take a segment of the people who were disgruntled enough at what they saw. Because what a person with eyes that can see saw is like, oh shit, this country just attacked itself.
That's
and
right.
blamed it on some patsies. Again, we've
That's
seen this
right.
story before. What's coming down the pipeline? Oh, the Patriot Act. Every level of attempt to different franchise said people that belong to this country that didn't not yet know that this was a corporation going bankrupt and they were liquidating. They didn't really get that memo. You know what I'm saying? They were invested in this American dream, you know, to find out that this shit is a farce. It's a nightmare. This country has killed trillions of fucking people. I don't even know if there's been a trillion people on the planet. You know what I'm saying? But they've killed people, yeah. And they says 11 dimensions, you know, in one timeline, right? Science has found that in your brain you have access to 11 dimensions, of which in each dimension there's 4 worlds. So that's 44 motherfucking dimensions. They bodying people in all of them shits, you know. You niggas is waking up in nightmares. It's a cracker killing somebody in your dreams. I mean, this shit seeps over into all types of into nonsense, you know. And nobody has put a fucking swift foot up his ass yet. Why? Because you scared. So it's a fear campaign. It's a fear lockdown. When I look at these situations and these young men in particular, you know, are saying, "Oh, well, I wasn't abused. Oh, well, I wasn't born this way. Oh, well, you know, this isn't about it's about you may have opted out, you know what I'm saying, and taking the safest route to say, look, I'm going to be, you know, a non-threat. I'm gonna be Zach. I'm gonna be D-Ray.
That's right. I'm gonna be on my knees.
I'm gonna be on my knees. I'm gonna coddle up to Zaddy.
Crawl to daddy.
Yeah.
You ain't running down on them. You niggas is crawling to them.
And this is for, and the other niggas went into the service, and then now they coming out of the service and they eunuchs. They want to snip their joints off and put on wigs.
Because let's be clear, the pipeline was Greenwich Village. Okay, I know that shit is all across the country, but there was a Vatican, there was a church-based pedophilia mafia all around America. They were turning young boys out, the Boy Scouts, the church, and all of these other places, buck breaking men at every turn. But in New York City, black men were the pipeline to this whole thing. Was Greenwich Village, where rich, very wealthy, rich white men of a Greco-Roman background, gay white men. This is where they were turning out. What did they have? 14th Street and all of that. All of those areas, the back blocks, 9th Avenue. 10th
The
Avenue,
Meatpacking District, yeah.
Meatpacking District, all of these places. This is where
All the way up to Hell's Kitchen and all of that.
all the way up to Hell's Kitchen. This is where the European men were turning out young black men. They wanted niggas with Timberlands and their hats backwards, showing their motherfucking boxes, going all the way back into Studio 54 days and all of that. And then they sent them back into the hood. So I just want to clarify that. White Zaddy they were funding these niggas, putting money in their pockets, you know what I mean? Putting them in, giving them jobs, putting them in the positions and whatnot, a Banana Republic and the Gap, and all of these other places that are basically, what's his name? Wexler for L Brands, who was down with, Epstein and all of that, who runs Victoria's Secret, and all of these places, as you could see with the Epstein scandal, how the shit works from the top down, how you could see how Hillary and all of these other people, all of these liberals, liberals translation, white men of a different sexual orientation with money, with the 100-year plans, it's almost a vampire culture, and they seed these different people and place them boule.
Yeah, and yeah, like somebody mentioned, let's not forget the prisons. A young lady, a friend of mine, she works with children in Pennsylvania, in the Philadelphia area, and she just like every night she just gives me harrowing stories about what's happening to her students and what they've grown to become, and all of the ones that are grown, they come with news reports because now they're being locked up for murder or rape and such, and she says they're being molested in the reform schools. They're being molested in the group homes, and a large contingency of them are being victimized by their fathers that are coming home from these prison terms.
Facts.
Abusing. It's like you said, it's a vampire culture. The ones that are bitten bite.
Facts.
As they say, hurt people hurt people. You know what I'm saying? And we have to look at it as what it is. It's abuse. It's abuse, and there's a psychological offset that's triggered. And this is me saying, look, we live in a society where everyone has a level of sickness. We're all sick. You know what I'm saying? I got my own sicknesses. And I've never met nobody without any level of their own. It's impossible living in this society to not have some level of it. You know what I mean?
It's implanted.
It's implanted, but some situations are a little bit more critical than others. So I don't, and I never ever having these conversations want to gloss over the fact that we are talking about a people who need help, who deserve help. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the normalcy period in society that we all want to, because we all live in this insane asylum and we treat this shit super normal. You know what I mean? We talk about the world and we talk about society as if everything is okay. And, we're just getting along and going along. And it's like, no, serious work needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? Serious healing needs to take place. And shout out to my family, the Ethiopian family. Today is their official new year, because it's a leap year. So it kicked in on the 12th. And this is 2012 in their calendar year. All right. And that ties into biblical time. Those people were considered the timekeepers. I'm gonna send you some information about how they give it up. You know what I mean? And what they're saying about this particular cycle. But those are the biblical timekeepers. And shout out to them. And I look forward to making my trip to Ethiopia and Eritrea sometime early next year. You know, but yeah, I don't want to miss that. You know what I mean? We're talking about people who have been abused and ravished, and like anyone else on this planet, they're looking for a way to fit in and normalize themselves in a society that is an open air insane asylum. You understand?
That's a fact. That's a super fact.
You know, and yeah, like, you know, I may bring her forth one day to tell a story, to speak for children. Cause, you know, as much as we talk about the, you know, our love for children, and you know what I'm saying, and our plans for the future, and you know, bro, some painful shit going on, bro. And we can provide safety and cover for the children that we have in our immediate family, and reach in our circumference or what have you. But you know, it's like the Bruce Wayne shit. You know what I'm saying? The child that you fail to care for or reach out to or consider, it's the Peter Parker shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit comes back to haunt you later on, because you never know if that be the vampire that comes and bites somebody in your family.
Mm.
You know?
Yes, sir.
So I don't ever want to lose sight of that.
Indeed. Well, with all that being said, I want to say thank you to everybody who pulled up. I will catch y'all tomorrow on Third Eye Thursdays. Shout out to my Houston family. Thank you for hosting me. It was a beautiful experience. You know, I will see y'all soon. United Kingdoms, UK, we will see you soon. Washington, D.C., October 19th. We'll see you soon with the Shifters. And
Yeah. And also, yeah, especially rest in peace to the victims, you know, the people who lost lives in the Twin Towers.
that's a fact. Rest in power. You know,
Maybe I should have started the program like that. I didn't get enough time. And we talking about first responders who
yeah,
lost lives in the towers. We're talking about people who got trapped in those buildings. We're talking about people who suffered death afterwards from contamination from the asbestos and the nuclear grade weapons that were in that building that got destroyed when the buildings got disintegrated, because the CIA had offices in those buildings as well, right? So there was workers that worked in that area in Lower Manhattan that got contaminated and died later of cancer. There was black firefighters, a large contingency of melanated firefighters that lost their lives later on from contracting diseases, you know, from working in the rubble.
facts.
Okay. So, you know, we want to be very mindful of sending out our love, you know what I'm saying, and our light for the guidance of those spirits that they make it home.
That's facts.
Dig.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
All right.
$ Blue Pillar 44. That's the Cash App. Goldwater.com. Go and get you some gold. You know what I'm saying? Make your next move your best move. We appreciate you.
Hold
Peace,
on.
love, and light.
Hold on. $ Phil Moreland, PhilMoreland, kingscounty.bigcartel.com. Go get that apparel. Fall 2019 collection will be coming very soon. All right. Love and light to the family. Peace.
Indeed, y'all. All right. Hey.